people. Welcome to the Thursday Night Forum and Arsenal Fan Circle. Yes, Tony is back. Tony is fit and ready to play again. He's been recuperating on the sidelines, and he has caused a delay to the proceedings. He and Gary got into it before we went live, and actually, we should have gone live while you were going into it.
Yes, very good.
Had me so flustered, Tony and Gary had me so flustered that I played the outro. Did you catch that one, Gary? I played the outro.
Who do you think clicked the intro?
Was that you?
Hmm.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good cover, Gary. Good cover. I think tonight's going to be a lively show because we have Tony's back. He's ready to go. He's got a lot to say. I think he's got a lot to say. Gary and I always have things to say, and we do have a defeat to deal with in the Champions League to cover as well. On the cusp of probably the biggest Premier League game we're going to play in the last 2 seasons, coming up on Sunday against what would have been a depleted City side with some injuries, but maybe we have some injuries too. So it's going to be a very even game on Sunday. But we'll get into that one later. Gary, you can start us off because we know Tony has got a lot to say, and welcome everybody who's been here the last few minutes and settle in for a good show tonight.
Yep. Hello, everyone. I see. Let's just go through a quick roll call. Stephen joins us. Be from Canada. Mike Ertz from the West Coast. BX from where is he from? He's from the Carolinas.
Yes, the East Coast.
You got Tiger and Guna. Welcome to the show.
Australia.
Riddy's joined us late, so welcome to the show, everyone. So yeah, no, we were in the back. We were just pretty much trying to go through everything we could think of, and but I guess first things first. Arsenal Tuesday. Going into that, I didn't want Saka to play. I thought two limping off twice is probably a good sign that. He probably should sit. I don't want a third time limping off. And guess what we got? A third time limping off. I think protecting your players is number one for Arteta. Protecting your best player is numero uno for our manager. I don't think he did that. They may have thought that he was all right, but when you limp off twice in a row, I think it's a warning sign. 3 times and people still think he's going to come on. I think we're just asking for trouble. At some point, Arteta and Arsenal are going to have to play without some of their stars. That's why we've called for depth from day one. This is the reason why. Somebody will have to step up, and Arteta will have to trust someone. That's it. So let's see what happens. But that's my little bit of a.
Let's get the Saka. You started the Saka thing. Let's start with that Saka thing. And I agree with you, Gary. There was no need for Bukayo Saka to go to France and play in this game. We should. We're not going to get the same players. That's why you have players who are going to come in and hopefully take his minutes. We're not going to get another Bukayo Saka on the right wing, but we have players who can perform that role. And all along, we've been talking about getting ready, preparing, getting our team, our full squad ready and fit so we can face the 8th game of the season in the Premier League, which is Manchester City. We all knew it was coming up on October 8th on the Sunday. And repeatedly playing Bukayo Saka with that game on the horizon you were just tempting fate. And even if he is past fit to play on Sunday, he will be targeted. He will be kicked. Probably get very little protection from the referee, who I think is I forget who's been nominated for that game now, but he's one of the better referees, I believe. But if he passes to play fit on Sunday, he could hobble off. So there was no need to play Bukayo Saka, in my opinion. Tony, what are your thoughts on Bukayo Saka and Arteta continually playing him?
Last year, 3,744 minutes. This season, 808 minutes. At that rate, he'll be over 4,200 minutes. He's 21. way too many minutes. You go against a French league that is currently 16th in the fucking table. True Farmers.
That's actually really
It's 16th.
not a good
16th.
He's
representation.
baiting you. He's baiting
Len-
you.
Yeah. He's just a setup
16th.
there.
16th, Gary.
Lens is not. Yeah, they're starting slow. It doesn't mean they're the
It
third
is six.
team, and they just finished second. If Arsenal was sitting 15th,
There's 7
would you have
games played,
said?
Gary. 7 games. Come on.
Yeah, and they started to pick up steam lately, right?
And we
Have
we
they?
finished 5th one season
They
after
have
losing our
7
first 3
points.
games.
They have 7 points
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
out of 7 games.
did it look like a 15th place team?
16th, Gary.
Did
it
they
look like a
look like
16th
that?
place team? Did you
They
watch the
didn't.
game? You watched the game. Did they look like a team that's sitting at the bottom of their table, towards the bottom?
No,
Let's
but
stay,
No.
it's
Okay.
still
Tony. Let's stay on Bukayo Saka, and then we'll get into Lons and Arsenal.
okay.
Anything else to say about the kid? I mean,
He
Bukayo
has
Saka-
to be. He has to be managed correctly. He's played a ton of minutes, and you just can't do that. You can't do what Arteta did last year. League Cup, Saka starting. Europa Cup, Saka starting. Then as our left center back, 4,200 minutes. These guys are getting way too many minutes. We got enough depth and enough variety that we can do things different. Jesus is not a striker, so we can put him on either wing. You got Smith Rowe,
Mhm.
throw him out there. You got Trossard, you can throw him out there.
There you go, Michael
Is
Oliver.
is Jesus, Smith Rowe, or Trossard that much of a drop off of Saka? Not really. I mean, they're definitely, those 3 players can get the job done.
Yep. So we'll revisit this conversation probably with talking about the community, not the Community Shield, but the Manchester City game on Sunday, and what the potential lineup could be without
One last
Saka
thing.
in there. Yep.
He got the League Cup squad pretty good. Still wouldn't want to see some of them join the plane, join the bus.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better mix than he normally does.
Yep.
Then you come against Lens and you roll out all your best players. Big gamble.
Here we
Didn't
go.
work.
Yeah.
You watched the game, right, Tony?
I've watched most of it as at doctor's
Did we have
appointments every
opportunities
time.
to score in that game?
Gary, we always have opportunities.
No, but not every game. In that game, did we have some really good chances to score?
Tony's telling you we had opportunities to score. Yes.
You're answering for him now. Do you want? Do you, don't
Do
want
you
Tony
want
on
a
the
straight
show?
answer, or do you want to dance around this?
I wanted Tony to talk. I was talking to Tony.
All right. If you think you can get a straight answer, go right ahead, Gary.
Did we do enough to win that game?
No.
No. Okay. Guess
There
you
you
didn't
go.
watch the game.
Point proven. Point proven. No, Gary.
Did we win the game, Gary?
It's not what I asked.
We did not win the game. So we weren't up to task. I don't care how many goals we missed or chances we had. We didn't do it. We
You
didn't
talk
win.
how many times about being clinical in front of goal, and now all of a sudden that doesn't matter anymore in a discussion about whether we had a chance to score. We weren't clinical in front of goal. We had multiple chances to get a ball past the goalkeeper, and every time it was straight at the goalkeeper. Not one time did he have to move. I don't know. It's the same thing. I say that all the time, right? Can you make the goalkeeper move? If you can't, guess what? It's an easy stop.
BX kind of said Havertz hits that ball with some conviction. We score. That was first half. Havertz volley, half volley. The one with Trossard just after halftime, very, very good opportunity. We robbed the ball. Gabriel Jesus robbed the ball. Havertz feeds Trossard. Trossard does everything right, Gary. Steps inside, opens the goal out for his right foot, but hits it kind of straight at the goalkeeper. And it's one that you could have scored. But for me, I know he's a defender, but Tomiyasu, you go 6 inches either side of the goalkeeper's foot, and that goes in. And we go 2-1 up just before they score. And of course, it's a different game when you score 2-1, and they're likely never going to get that goal. So yeah, we had chances. It's Arsenal's inability to be efficient with their chances again.
That's but this is like the least amount of shots we've taken. 11. 6 on target.
Yeah,
That's a good percentage compared to what we usually do. We usually have
We
6 shots on
did
target
that the other
with
week,
20
but we had
with 20
18
shots.
and we shot 18. Like 12 of those are on target, and we got 4 goals.
Yeah. Look. We didn't score. We didn't score enough goals, and we weren't efficient with our chances. We weren't efficient with our opportunities on goal. 6 shots on goal, just 1 goal to show for it. And then we have Gary. We had a Lons team who had two very good opportunities, and they scored really, really good goals off of the back of those 2 opportunities.
Both teams scored. I mean, the first 2 goals were both teams making mistakes and paying for it, which is what you're supposed to do. Once again,
Yeah.
Arsenal doesn't score from open play with some build-up, and with whatever creativity Arteta has planned for the team. Still, not too many goals are we creating in a system that with a lot of firepower. I believe we had firepower, but we're not showing it. You look at all the goals we scored, you can count up like at least 2 or 3 of them. A lot of them are not from our play, either from mistakes or penalties. All right, we have somehow we have to figure out how to score goals. From open play.
Yeah. We're back to living off of fine margins again. BX said we lacked creativity last game as well. Terrible chemistry together up front. Reddy said the arrogance and complacency pre-Lons was telling. Champions League is not the League Cup. And welcome in. Miss Molina is here, so welcome to the show. But this is it, Tony. And Gary and I are trying to tell you it's the Champions League. Lons, yes, they've had a terrible start to the season, 16th place, but they were second, only a point or 2 behind PSG in the championship last year. You don't get into the Champions League.
We're not playing last year's team. We're playing this year's team.
Correct, and that's the beauty.
So
of the
that
Champions
doesn't
League.
mean So you're saying that last year's team means nothing. So then we're not really that second place team that you talk about. We could be a 10th place team right now. You don't know.
So our 22 years in the Champions League. How many?
They don't mean anything right now. They mean absolutely
nothing. How many
nothing.
times did Wenger fill the full team?
You're just trying to recreate what we talked about in the back.
Yeah, but look,
right?
Tony, I have no doubt we will navigate our way through this group. I told everyone on this podcast last season we're going to go into the Champions League and we're going to lose. We're going to lose a game, and you need to realize that we're going to lose a game or 2.
But do we need to be putting all the starters in a group stage game, right?
Early, yes. Yes, early, yes. Have you seen how it typically works for the teams that make it deep into the Champions League? They usually try to get all the points they can early, so in the later games, they can when the season picks up and the games pick up and you get worn out, you don't have to put all your starters in. That's why you go out there pretty strong and try to get those points early. So your 5th and 6th game, you're just like you're coasting.
And Tony, your question would be valid. If we won 4-0 or 5-0 and Lons on Tuesday night, your question would be valid. We won 4 or 5-0. Did we need to go strong?
But both of you have said we got a stronger bench.
Yep.
So apparently we don't if we won't go with them.
There's two
What
ways to
team
do
plays
this.
their bench in the Champions League, Tony? Tell me one.
Lots of them do.
Which ones? The ones that
Lots
win or
of
the ones that
teams
don't?
do.
Which ones? Because it's not Real Madrid. It's not City. It's not Liverpool when they're in there. It's not Barcelona.
Liverpool
It's not Inter
fields weak
Milan.
teams.
It's not AC Milan. None of those teams take this thing not serious. They all take it
No.
serious.
It's
2
the
years
champion.
ago, when Liverpool could win the
You're gonna go
title,
back 2 years to figure out to find the one time when a team went early in the
Well,
second
I
game of
haven't
the.
watched every
let's hear,
game,
Nobody
hear
goes
Gary.
weak in this thing, Tony.
let's
They
hear him out a
don't.
little bit, Gary. 2 years ago with Liverpool, what happened, Tony? What were we going to say?
They went for the League Cup.
Oh yeah, yeah. They went for
They-
everything. They went for the whole enchilada, and
And what
they
happened?
needed.
They got too tired, and what happened?
They had a very bad season last season. Is that what you mean?
The season before. No,
Yeah.
the season before that.
Well, the season before they were fighting all four fronts. They got to the last game of the league, lost the league in dramatic circumstances, lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid 1-0, won 2 cups, both of them on penalties, I believe, against Chelsea.
But they had a chance to win all 4.
Yeah, they had a chance to win all 4, and that's what.
And do you know what happened? Why they didn't, Ray? They went for the League Cup because they could have had a chance to get City.
So you're
You know
telling me they didn't
Then
win?
City started
telling
playing
me
bad, and they caught them.
They didn't win the league because they went for the League Cup. They didn't win the Champions League because they went for the League Cup. They were in those games.
They didn't win the league because of it.
That's your
They could
opinion.
have won the league. They fielded some weak teams before their League Cup because for some reason, Klopp never cares about the competition. But since he thought City was going to win the league, he played
Yeah.
very strong teams.
Yeah. And that's why your manager is getting paid. Mikel Arteta is getting paid to make these decisions. And
But he hasn't fucking learned. He does not learn.
it's yet to be decided this season, right?
We got 4 seasons
The evidence
to go over.
The evidence right now, Tony,
There's nothing.
doesn't look good.
There's nothing Arteta has done in the last 3 years that have prepared him for a season like this, because he's never done it, and until he actually.
He's
goes
played
to it,
Europa. It's still European.
with a poor squad.
He has never managed a team who can compete on all 4 fronts, which actually is a good marker, a good characteristic of a team that can compete and win the big trophies. That's how it works. You see it all the time. You barely see a team like a Leicester who just wins the one big trophy and that's it. Doesn't really compete in the other ones. The teams that consistently win compete in all 4 fronts. One, because that's how you keep the team and the players engaged, and winning begets.
You don't have to do that, Gary.
You have to do that if you want to. This is why you cannot depend on your bench if you never play them, Tony. That's the problem we had last season.
FA Cup and League Cup. I mean, not League Cup, but the league. Not giving one fuck about the League Cup. Wenger never cared about it.
I don't think Arteta has
always
money in the bank to do that.
It was always, here's all the
Arteta can't pick and
youth
choose
squad,
what he's going to win.
all the under 21.
Let's not get
bogged
down.
Players.
The Carabao Cup. The next game is November 1st, so we shouldn't really talk too much about the Carabao Cup till the next game, Tony. You know what I mean? I'll take your point. Arsene Wenger never really cared about that competition. He used it to blood young players and academy players and bring them through the system. Each and every manager is going to use that competition in particular to the way they want to. If you have a squad who's hungry enough and want to play well in those games, you will win the competition, as evidenced by Manchester United last season. Those players and Ten Hag went for the Carabao Cup. Look where Ten Hag is right now. He's hanging on to his job by a thread, so the Carabao Cup will only get you so far. As Gary and I was saying, you need a full squad, and Mikel Arteta has not done this before. to fight on four fronts, and we're going to see what happens in the coming months. And all you can ever be is competitive. I mean, Arsene Wenger said it himself. All you can ever do is hope to be competitive enough to compete, to be the top in the league, or win an FA Cup or whatever. You know,
He's competed in 4, Ray. We've been in
Not as a
Europa.
manager, he is not.
Mikel Arteta, you're talking about. He's
League
doing
Cup.
it this season. He has to do it this season.
He's did it the last 3 seasons.
He has not, because he's never been in the Champions League, and that's how you determine where you sit.
He's been
this-
in Europa. Ray just said he hasn't been in 4 fronts before. Europa's a front.
simultaneous, not in one season. We put a side out against Nottingham Forest that was a really, really poor side. We got what we deserved. We got dumped out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round. We did
You
it
know
at
what happened when we
Southampton.
did that? What happened when we lost to Nottingham Forest? You remember that run? We had to play City, and we lost to them twice. Losing stinks, and it smells, and it sticks to your skin, and you can't get it off sometimes.
Manchester City right now, I mean, they beat Leipzig, but they came into Leipzig on the back of 2 defeats as well. So, you know, you need to be very careful. And on Sunday, we need to be careful not to actually take that game on and go for it. Boise said, if we were to lose that one, would have been the one to lose and rest players for City. You know, I take it on board that we didn't rest players for City, but we have 5 days between this game, Lons, and the City game. There's 5 games of rest. Now, 5 days of rest. Not going to help Bukayo Saka, but it will help the rest of the team. And Gary, I'm
not going to you, Ray.
Go ahead, Tony.
I haven't heard your thoughts of if you had played Saka against Linz or not.
No, I said it earlier in this live stream. I would not have played Bukayo Saka. Probably I would have played him probably against Bournemouth. He came back against Bournemouth, but not given him as many minutes, because I've always contended to look at this Man City game to get your players in good physical condition without any injuries as much as possible.
But there's no excuse. You got 5 subs. If you see somebody struggling,
sure.
It's not. This is on Arteta. All this whole entire situation is all on Arteta. And
the Bukayo Saka situation is yes.
Yeah.
Right. BX said my problem is starting Kai on the left side midfield and then having him operating as a second striker with no service. This multitasking isn't getting the best out of this team. I think the Kai Havertz, and not to stay on Kai Havertz again, I think this experiment's coming to an end. I see Emile Smith-Rowe getting stronger and stronger, and if Kai Havertz continues playing the way he's been playing, Emile Smith-Rowe is going to take his place, I believe. Steven said, we've been slow in attack all season, and we're back to playing horseshoe football with no penetration up the middle. Gary, we kind of complain about Martinelli, and we sort of see what it's like without Martinelli now.
You're the one that don't like him. You're not his
I
friend.
didn't say I didn't like him. It's just that I need him to find players.
But he opens up the game, and that's the reason why we like him.
Yeah,
and
I'm open
him, we realize why you know, yeah. And when we realize, I mean, that's why you go, well, then you have Nelson, right? Maybe you use Nelson in that situation. We've seen Vieira actually come up the side and put some pressure on teams. So depending on how things have worked out, we've been able to do certain things, but we're not using those players. So then we're just slowing our team down, and we're not able to get anything out of it. So yeah, that's why I say a lot of this is on Arteta. Yeah.
Can we try something?
Yeah.
Can we play Tomiyasu as a left back and then have Zinchenko as the left 8, which he plays as?
I think, Tony, the wise thing to do would be the first part of that on Sunday. Play Tomiyasu in that left back position. I would actually put Zinchenko on the subs bench on Sunday.
You want it starting because he creates all that stuff?
I would start Thomas Partey. If Thomas Partey's fit, I'd put him in on Sunday. alongside Rice and Erdegaard in midfield. BX kind of said we haven't replaced Xhaka with a player able to play the role he did in Arteta's system. This is sort of
That's
true.
bullshit. We got
No.
him. We just haven't used him.
Well,
Who's
we
that
haven't
player that
seen
we
it yet.
who's that player that we brought in to play Jacques' role?
We haven't seen it yet, Tony.
Smith Rowe can play there. You know he can.
We haven't seen it yet.
Trishard can play there. Zinchenko can
Um,
play there.
So, Tony, in much the way that we have brought in Declan Rice, Havertz, and other players, Raya, we're actually trying to find the way that we can play this season. We haven't gotten into the groove yet, as Gary's mentioned. We're not playing really well. We're not efficient with our chances, and this can happen when you bring 3 or 4 big parts into the team. The same thing has
Yeah,
happened.
but the whole thing, Ray, what's the problem? What don't we have?
A striker.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you're going to spend $70 million,
You
on
can't
Harvard-
complain, but Tony, we knew when the window ended that we didn't have that striker that could score 20 goals for us.
if you had $70 million sitting on your desk, would you put it to Harvitz, or would you go look for a tall,
What does that
sturdy, good
have to do
target
with
man
the game we just played and
as
the
a
game we're
striker?
about to play? Yeah, it means absolutely nothing,
The
Tony.
window's shut, Tony. The window is shut.
Nothing you can
can't
do
We're
about it.
talk-
Let's talk about what we have today. That's
Yeah.
all we got.
You can't
That's all
talk
you
about
got.
we can talk about
variables.
mistakes.
You want to dream about what happened like 2 months ago. I know you haven't been able to
Tony.
chat, but that's
Yeah.
where we are right now, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Tony,
Has
we can only
that
talk
$70
about
million signing paid off at all? No.
Havertz.
Yep.
The
No.
72 million for Pepe didn't work either.
As Boy said, we should have signed James
Happens.
Ward-Prowse, but definitely Madison for the same money as Havertz.
But we've
Would've got-
seen that we're not clinical. Arteta sees it. We have one clinical player. Well, 30,
Tony,
sorry.
When did he see it?
Odegaard, Smith
Tony.
Rowe.
Tony, were we not clinical last season? Did we not
No.
score a lot of goals last season?
We scored
were
more
not
goals
clinical.
than the Arsenal's
We
ever
scored a lot of goals last season.
We were
Tony.
not clinical.
We scored 88 goals. When's the last time Arsenal
Gary.
scored 88 goals? Never. Until
Gary.
last year. And now you're
Gary.
saying not clinical.
Gary,
Yes, sir.
go rewatch your own fucking show. All the shows with Ray, all last season. Me and you were saying the same thing. We weren't clinical.
Yeah.
But we scored 88
So
goals.
why are you arguing with me now, saying that we were clinical last year?
I never
when the
said we
whole
were
season
clinical.
You said we
I'm
weren't.
just saying we scored 88 and we weren't clinical. I don't think clinical was the problem. Because if it was, we wouldn't have scored 88 goals last season.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Right?
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, Tony, we scored a lot of goals last season. I knew it tonight would be a night full of discussion, but having Tony rejoin us as well brings more discussion. We welcome it, Tony. We welcome it. So, Gary, let's get into this because Tony's probably listening as well. You know, we beat PSV on our first return to the Champions League in 7 years. We beat PSV 4-0. Right? We were up for it on our home turf for the first game. First time we played at home in the Champions League in 7 years. Lons were up for it for the first time they played at home in the Champions League for 21 years, apparently.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
they
because Arteta once again, the experience he hasn't realized that teams will play up for certain situations. You've seen it many, many times, right? He saw it when Nottingham Forest, when Brentford came into the league for the first time, right? You saw it when Everton brought in a new manager. He's seen all these things and knows that teams, especially when you're on the road, teams are going to come out and play a certain way. He has to prepare his team for that. It can't be a shock that, guess what? This stadium, like the man went out and was playing audio from Anfield in preparation for that. Did he not know that Lons would have a similar situation in terms of how the crowd was
Well,
going to
let me.
react to this
Hello,
this
Mike.
thing?
Let me put this one thing to you. Let me just suppose to you that he did prepare his players and tell his players all of those things, and they crossed that white line, and they still lost many of their contests, individual contests on the night.
And that's on
That's
justified.
also
That makes
logical.
that can't at some point they can't happen if they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing their job. If you're telling them what to do and they're not doing it, then why you keep putting them out there? It's not like
Well,
this is year 4 now. Players shouldn't be going out there if they're not going to do a job for him.
do you think the human nature of players thinking about a game on Sunday? You think that crept into things?
If you he has done this before. How what did we talk about last season? Going into the city match, you cannot take your eye off the ball. You have to continue to play in every game, especially when you know what's coming up. And the manager's his job is to deter you from thinking about what happens on a Sunday. Because guess what? You slip. Banana skin game, all of that kind of stuff happens. That is what coaches tell you. We can only focus on the 90 minutes in front of us. We can't wait to do this. We can't. City will come no matter what we do. So why? Here's the thing, DWTT, don't waste a trip. If we're going to play the game, why don't we just try to get the win? All right? Put everything we can into getting this win. You'll feel much better when you go into the city match. Now what? Once again, we're going to go into a city match reeling a little bit. Right?
I think
You can't do that against City. You have to be going in full of confidence, knowing you're playing your best football, right? And once again, we're going in and we don't know who's going to play, and we haven't been playing good all season. So who knows how this thing will pan out?
I happen to think this defeat is if a defeat's going to come, it's the perfect time for a reality check, back to basics, do the things right in that football demands of you. You know, the football gods do have a thing to say about this. If you take things for granted, if you think you're going to step onto foreign soil in France and go to their stadium with that atmosphere that's there and be able to overcome that, we could have overcome it if we took our chances. Be a little bit more clinical. Tomiyasu is a defender, but you do expect him maybe to score. He expects to score in that situation. Trossard expects to score in that situation. But with all that being said, there is another team out there as well with their home support. And this is probably the beauty of the Champions League is that, you know, the home team has a big part to play in bringing an atmosphere and bringing the best out of their home team. And Lon struck gold last night. It was probably one of those games where they had two great shots and both went in.
So you're expecting? Are you thinking that we play on the road in the Champions League, we're just going to lose because they're all going to be exactly like this?
No, there has to be a game or two in this group where you do stand up, you stick your chest out, and you go and win those points. You get a draw if you need to get a draw at PSV. You go and win at Sevilla if you need to go and win at Sevilla.
No, you need to win every match. You can't be like picking and choosing. This is the thing I keep telling you. You cannot just pick and choose which games. You try to win every game and put a plan in effect. And if it doesn't work, then you make adjustments.
The other team is trying to do that as well, Gary. And this team, Lons, drew away at Sevilla. PSV drew 2-2 with Sevilla as well in the other fixture in our group. And I think there is a certain aspect of being strategic and navigating. I'm using the word navigating again through your group. We're not going to go and win. Like we might win the next 4 games. We're going to definitely need to win 3 of them, maybe, of the next 4 games. But the other teams are going to try to do that as well. And it's, as Matt Turner said, it's a dogfight out there. And I do think the players also have a part to play in this as well. They did not meet the tenacity of the Lons players. The pressing, did you see the pressing of those Lons players on Arsenal all game?
Yeah, they were prepared well and came out and executed. A lot of that starts with the coaching and the game management,
Yeah.
player management. All of that plays into this thing. You pick your best 11. As much as I wanted Saka, as much as Saka is our best player, I think he wasn't going to help us. I don't think Havertz was going to help us in the situation.
And
All these things, some of those things are on Arteta.
some of them, yeah, definitely some of them are on Arteta as well. The goal we got came from a mistake from Thomason, and he was the player who would equalize as well.
See, that's what players do. They make a mistake and they redeem themselves. Arteta's players don't usually do that. Most of the time, they make a mistake and then you never see them again in the game. They kind of disappear sometimes, and that's built into the into the
Mentality,
characteristics of the
fabric.
mentality of your team. That
Yeah.
what, like last season, that game we come back from, we down 2 goals, come back and get the draw, right? You get the win, sorry. You know,
Um,
that's the mentality that you want. The players that helped you do
the
that
Bournemouth,
barely
the
got
Bournemouth game.
barely got a sniff this year, right? So that meant nothing to Arteta in terms of, okay, what have players given me in the past?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? So
Reece
yeah,
Nelson.
if Harris up front, I've heard that talk a lot, and
I've got him up
it's
there in my lineup. I've got him up front.
it's we're just going to do anything we can to get this player on the field, even if he has not deserved it.
Yeah.
Usually, you say you have to deserve minutes on the field, and that's why Milsufro and Nelson don't get on the pitch. Well, tell me what Havertz has done to warrant getting starts in
Well,
this team.
Gary, he played up front in the Community Shield when we played Man
No,
City.
you're talking about 9 games ago. I'm
Yes,
talking
when we
about
beat Man City
what has he done in the
on
Premier
penalty.
League? What has he done in the Premier League where you go, yes, you deserve another game?
Well, we played him in a different position.
What has he done in the games he's played, which
Not
warrant
much.
him
Not much.
and he's deserving of a start? Just because, guess what? 8 doesn't work, so we're going to try 9 now.
All right. So, how are you going to shuffle the front three, given that Bukayo Saka could be out for Sunday?
You have a Nelson, you have a Milsufro,
Mm-hmm.
you of course have Jesus, you have
Are you got?
Nketiah,
Well, which three are you going to play? Give me your three
you got
forwards.
Trossard. I'd say
Yeah.
Trossard, Nelson, and Jesus.
Okay. You going to play Nelson on the right? That's
Wherever
fair.
he's comfortable,
That's fair.
whatever you can do. I feel like we need. I mean, when you, when Saka comes out and your replacement isn't a light for light after whatever 30 minutes or whatever it was, then what are you doing? I can understand it was late in the game and you're trying to hold on to something, but at that point in the game, you've got most of your starters on. It should be more of a light for light switch, and we didn't do that. Like Vieira he's not good there.
No,
He's
Vieira
not
did not play well
you
there.
kind of basically went from like, a player at top 10 speed and said, I'm going to give a player with me 5, I guess. I don't know.
4, I would have said.
So even worse. So
Yeah.
you basically just killed whatever plan you just set up, and then you don't change the way you play. So what's the point of making that switch? And you have players on the bench that can get as close as they can to what you get out of Saka. So
Yeah.
that's on Arteta. And you know what? Players get hurt, and you have to make changes. Players don't play well, and you have to make changes. Players get cards, and you have to make changes. All of these things are just part of the job.
Mm-hmm. As Rady said, wouldn't surprise him if Havertz played up front. Me also, because I think Partey gets to start maybe in this game, and that would push Havertz into that front role, perhaps.
I'm surprised Partey didn't get minutes in the last game if he's going to play in this one.
To get him.
I can't believe he's going to be like physically and mentally ready to play in a game like that, having not played.
He may be on the bench.
What I'm saying is, you just said he could start, and I'm saying the reason why it's probably, for me, more likely he doesn't is because he didn't play in a game where you probably wouldn't good to bring him in, especially if you're trying to hold on to the one goal you have. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know this
Well,
football thing,
they,
but
they did equalize pretty quickly. At 1-1, you could have brought them
they
on maybe
they okay, they equalized. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
20 some
I'm talking
minutes.
about in the
Yeah.
second half.
Yep.
Partey could have deserved probably 20 minutes or so of a nice run out, especially in a game like that. He's played in the Champions League, so
Yeah.
so he knows what to expect.
Mikey Hurst said random thought Trossard seemingly had a better performance as a sub versus a starter, in my opinion. He didn't seem to revel in that position last night. And Gary, I think their press targeted some of our lightweight midfielders. Erdegaard had a rough night. I think other players like Vieira, Trossard were muscled out of the game a little bit with the physicality and the intensity of lawns, and it's no mistake. It's not it's no coincidence, I guess, that Declan Rice was our best player on the night. Physically able to beat the press as well. Zinchenko even got caught at times. So Trossard
I
had that's night.
I don't think the Trossard that played for Brighton is a Trossard that we're seeing play here, and I think that's the way he's being managed and coached. So I would be the player that won Player of the month in March
Yeah.
started for us in most of those games, and we are able to win. So I don't think that's I don't think that's it either. You know what I mean? I think there's something else going on, a change in maybe philosophy or something like that. But it wasn't as if he didn't have a really good preseason and probably deserve to continue that into the season.
Mhm.
I think Arteta, some people will say, kills players that are actually
Kills their
feeling good about
momentum.
themselves. Like
Mhm.
Vieira came on twice and helped contribute to
Yep.
games,
Yep.
and then
And where
maybe he still comes off the bench and maybe he'll be fine doing that. But I think he's been put in the games and it's killed whatever he's built up in terms of momentum and form and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I think Trossard should be able to start for our team.
Like I
And
mentioned,
so
like I
yeah,
mentioned a bit earlier as well, Emil Smith Rowe looks like he's building up steam, but
mm,
will Arteta let him go full pelt
yeah, yeah.
with a
I mean,
start in a
like I
game?
said, Havertz up front. I don't know what
A
anybody
lump of
sees in what.
cheese
Yeah,
up
yeah.
front instead of Havertz.
He doesn't. Everybody keeps saying well, all this stuff is supposed to help his confidence, and he comes out and it doesn't. Doesn't like what confidence did he get from scoring that penalty kick?
No,
Saka's given away 2 or 3 goals already, opportunities to score a penalty, and
the
uh,
spot
and
kicks.
and it hasn't helped.
Spot kick is just a spot kick. You score it, but will it help you score goals unless you actually put in? It'll come
I
naturally.
think it. I don't. I think it. I don't. I think it created. I think it created more issues than not. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he doesn't like a player. Most players will not want to take that penalty kick out of like sympathy. I mean,
yeah. You
like I
feel
know I'm
embarrassed
struggling,
over it.
but I want to put that ball in. Like
Yeah,
his mentality should be, I don't want a freebie. Either I work
yeah.
for it and I take my penalty, or I put a ball in the net. And he doesn't look like he even wants to do that. Like, do you see like you barely see him smiling out there? This is football. Should he be enjoying it? I don't like. When is he smiling? Like he scored it and he barely wanted to smile. And
I
it's
don't
like
think he's that. He's
he's not enjoying
another
his
sort of
football. So
Pepe.
then, yeah.
He's another Pepe personality, and
So then
I'm
that's not a
calling
good
him.
sign there. It's not a
Yeah,
good
I've been
sign then.
calling him Arteta's Pepe now. Arteta got rid of Pepe, and now he has a Pepe in place of him,
Mm.
and that can be harsh. Maybe he starts moving, but it's not. We've not seen it so far after 10 games. That atmosphere was fantastic. Wish England brought the scenes like that. That's what you
Is it
get from a small club that's doing bits
is it
and
a
a
small
second
club or is
champ.
it a small stadium where the fans are on top of the field
That
essentially?
too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, I've sat at a stadium with like 80,000 people in it, and I don't know what it sounded like from the TV, but it didn't seem that loud when I was there. And that was we were playing the North London Derby and we won 3-1. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like they built this big stadium and it's too big in the
The
sense
Emirates.
that yeah, it's too big in the sense that you can't get that. I think a lot of fans have said this. you don't feel like you're with the on the field with the players almost, and it does make the sounds do carry differently in those big open arenas like that. So
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think Lons did well last season, Gary, as we mentioned earlier. Almost they were just behind PSG. They've had to go and get a few players as well, and I think Y's one of those players. They went out and bought, a player that was linked to us as well.
Yeah.
We
He
know
looked
that
good,
player.
didn't he? He looked good with
He
that,
looked
that
good,
goal.
but
And to
this
think
was his
Balogun scored
first.
more goals than him.
This was his first Champions League game, and on the weekend, his first Champions League goal, and on the weekend, his first league goal as
Goal,
well.
yeah,
So he's
yeah.
off and running. Will he score more than Balogun? Is that the question you're asking?
No, I'm just saying Balogun scored more than him last season. So what I know that we talk about it's just Balogun's attitude, and that's why he's not with us.
Yeah,
But I
we
don't know.
shall see. We
Yeah,
shall see. Balogun did score last week, I think, with
mhm.
Monaco
yeah,
as well.
yeah. He did score. Yeah.
Stephen said the season for me has been nothing. Disruption. It started nothing but disruption. It started with Arteta and his effed up Partey at right back experiment and the failed Havertz at left aid. Throwing Gabriel on the bench, a keeper issue, not good. I can't disagree with any of that, Stephen. And I I I actually agree with all of that. And I'm generally behind Mikel Arteta and what he's doing,
He
but
just created more challenges for himself
Luster,
when
yeah,
like I I know a lot of people say why couldn't he just improve on what he did last season as opposed to change things up. I
it's a little
I tend
tricky.
to agree. I tend to agree with that because one of the issues we had last season was depth, right? So if you're saying, you know what, maybe I'll stick to my same style, but I increase our depth, then you do that, right? Like letting Shaka go for nothing didn't really help you.
23.
Didn't really help you. Didn't really help you.
Well, the player wanted to go. You can't
Yeah, I
really
know, but
keep.
yeah, I have no doubt there was the if he felt wanted, he probably would have stayed because he stayed before. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He had his best season.
I,
They're
I
playing in
think
the Champions League. He would have still been a leader in the squad. And Arteta went from Xhaka, who just had his best season, to Havertz, who's having his worst time in his career, and thought that was going to fix things. I
I
mean,
feel like there was a conversation with Granit Xhaka and his wife was like, "Okay, I'll stay 2 more years or whatever it was."
hmm
And that conversation was a promise to his wife, because I think that she or he maybe wanted to go back to Germany. And of course, there's always back channels with Bayer Leverkusen back channels, and that's how it went down.
yeah.
We knew it was going to happen though, and we prepared to bring in a player.
We did not prepare well.
We didn't prepare well, but we did prepare. We didn't prepare well,
Yeah,
and
just it would,
Kai Havertz. It could be
like
any one of three
like
players at this
no, but
point.
think about it. Like you look at you bring in Timber, you bring in Havertz, you bring in Rice, you bring in Raya. One of these doesn't fit. One of them does not improve the squad. You know, like he doesn't improve your bench right now. He's definitely not improving your starting 11. You know, and if you're going to keep
So I
keep
think as you mentioned a few moments ago, I think we have improved our depth in the team, but we have not improved the way we're playing right just as of right now. We
Havertz
have
does
not
not
improved
improve your
in
eights.
general. Yeah,
No, he
the
doesn't
whole team.
improve the one hole you had going into the season,
Left eight.
right? He doesn't improve that,
Yeah,
and
Mr.
he's the one that
Bungle.
starts. So you're basically just weakened that entire proposition.
Yeah,
So I
and
just
we've had to integrate Declan Rice, so we have a different look in midfield from a Thomas Partey.
you think he's hindering us?
Declan
You think
Rice?
Tim? You think Timber's hindering us?
No,
You think
no.
Ray is hindering us?
I don't think it's Raya.
No, but I'm just saying, like I don't only one of those four plays seems to be hindering us and holding us back a little bit.
No, I don't.
Raya is
But
no different. Like I know there's lots of good things that are said about Raya, but as we're seeing, he's just some of the same things Ramsdale does. So maybe the competition is they're both. The competition isn't good for both of them. We're not seeing an improved Raya because of him coming in and having some confidence from the coach.
yeah,
Ramsdale's looked all
um,
right, but it's hard to compare the teams he's played versus the teams Raya's played since he's come in. I mean, he's played a North London derby. He's played on the road in the Champions League, right? And if he plays on Sunday, he'll play a City, and those are the three games probably will be the toughest ones for him. And he might not have good games in all three of them. Does that mean he's a worse goalkeeper than Ramsdale? We don't know. We don't know.
no, we
It's
don't
hard,
know.
unless they both play the same game. You'll
It's
never
very
know.
hard.
But
I mean, some people, I could get behind this where some people said that Ramsdale may have saved that first shot, that curling one into the corner. Ramsdale maybe has a better reach, maybe would have gotten to that,
he's a little bit taller, yeah.
like at Anfield.
But we've seen a lot of times those types of shots, those crossing shots like that, he doesn't get to them, Ramsdale. So
So we,
yeah,
we can't just stop the game and bring Raya in just before, or take Raya out just before that shot. We
mm,
can't freeze the frame and say, okay, Aaron, let's try and save this one. BX said he's talking about Ange giving him more confidence on Arteta. All I would say is BX, if Ange is there for 4 years, I wonder if they will get tired of him as well. Um, the same manager, hearing the same things from the same manager, and Arteta is being the Riddler because he just doesn't want the opposition to know what's
you know
going
what?
on.
And he doesn't understand. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if they know or they don't know. They know how you're going to play. So what difference does it make if you talk about it or not?
Mm-hmm.
You you're not changing anything up. Everybody's like the only way you're going to beat City this weekend is if you do something different. 9 times out of 10, he's going to do the exact same thing.
The way to
Ange
beat
comes
City.
Ange comes with experience once again, and when we
Yeah.
bring this up, it's always a manager coming in with experience with a team that is a lesser team than Arsenal has, and performances don't match up. Right? You have better players, you should expect better performances, but we don't get that.
The
So
way to beat City this weekend is the way we were beaten by Lons. Have a really great atmosphere at the stadium, and the players actually rise to that occasion.
the only way that's going to work,
How?
Arteta has to get COVID, sit out, Albert takes over,
No,
and
no, no, no,
there
no.
you go. We've seen it work. We've seen it. We've seen our team come out there and play
We've
inspired
played well
football.
before. We've
Not
played
like
well
that.
again.
We have never played like that first half against City
We
2
had
years
we
ago.
had a game
Not even close.
postponed. We
Not
had a
even
game.
close.
We had a
What
game
was the score in that
postponed.
game, Ray? What was the score in that game?
We lost 2-1.
Yeah, they had to come back and score 2 goals on us, right?
Yep.
We had an opportunity to go up 2-0 probably in that first half. We didn't.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that is
Martinelli.
the best we've played against this team.
It is.
And Arteta hasn't and
I
wasn't
don't.
anywhere near the
It is
stadium.
the best we played. I don't know if that link is
That link is
strong.
actually true because we saw it. You can't say, okay, Arteta was on the pitch, he was in their ears talking to them, but the man on the field, actually talking to the players in real time, got something out of those players we have yet to see
Yeah.
with our man in charge. So there's nothing. I don't know how you can quantify it and say no. But Arteta was no. They played up whatever they got inspired to play that game the way they did. We've yet to see them get inspired like that
Maybe by
again.
the Zoom call. Maybe they were inspired by the Zoom call.
So I can't when I'm face to face with you not get the same kind of response then from your team. You know what I mean? That's what you want. You want your whatever that was. You need to bottle it and improve on it and expect to get the same results. And we
It's got to
don't.
be
We haven't.
got to be Sunday, Gary. It's got to be Sunday. And I think this game and being beaten in this fashion will tell a few home truths to some of our players, and we'll have to put a performance together on Sunday. BX said, considering our squad is young and a lot of them are tied down in contracts, another manager can still come in and get more out of our squad. It's always possible. We're looking for a new goalkeeper to improve ourselves. There could be a manager out there that could improve us, but you better be very careful about what you wish for sometimes, because we could fade down into the league again, like Pochettino
Good, but then
with
yeah, but then
Chelsea.
you're watching the teams we're chasing after they made similar moves. They got new managers in, and we saw maybe a step back, but then we saw them boost ahead, right? So all we can do now is expect our team to get better and better. I've said this multiple times, and I'll keep saying it. Arteta's successful season this year will be top 3 in the league, out of the group in Champions League, and a semi or a final appearance in one of the two domestic. That's what we need to do. You win a trophy, and you finish in the top 3, you're good. But I feel like that's what needs to be done. That
We're
actually
uh,
shows some growth and
we're good
improvement.
enough. We're good enough to win one of the two minor cups.
Hmm.
We're good enough to win an FA Cup. We're good enough to win a Carabao.
We've been
Champions
good
League
enough to
for
win.
me.
We've been good enough to win any of those because, if you recall, we won the FA Cup. So, you know, he's experienced winning the FA Cup. So he as a manager, he knows what that sometimes take. Yes, some
Mm-hmm.
luck, but then also some of your players have to show up.
Yep, and get out of our group and win the last 16 game as well to get into a quarterfinal. That's for
Mhm.
me is a good season, and being you can't guarantee winning the league, but you have to guarantee being in the top 2 places, and we have to confirm what we did over Liverpool last season, and rather not look over our shoulder at Liverpool, but be looking at City as the team we need to get above. You know, Steven said, I'm not expecting much in the Champions League because Arteta are not getting a right winger or striker, but got Havertz and Raya instead. 2 players we didn't need. You know, Raya, the jury's out on Raya still. And
Yeah,
I think
but
generally,
it's another problem you created, Arteta. You have a starting goalkeeper who got you top 2, got you back in the Champions League, and for some reason, all of a sudden, you want to replace him. So now you're creating a battle for goalkeeping, which
yeah,
is probably the worst thing you want to do. Right? Either
yeah,
you improve on it at the beginning of the season, and you either either that player becomes your second, and they know it from day one, or you go get another backup. But yeah, I keep hearing, yeah, Mike. I've seen a lot of people say he's gonna play, and I'm like,
his
I,
ability.
I look at I look at I look at I look at trends, and I look at history, and the last 3 games tell me you would bring him in. Oh, I don't know where he went. The last 3 games show me that you bring Saka in, and once again, every time he plays, he gets a goal and an assist. He's got 9 goals and assists in 9 games. It's only
Just
one game where he has not contributed with some sort of goal or assist, but he's got 9 anyway. So
his
the man
ability, Gary.
delivers. He delivers it when he comes in, but how you cannot keep pressing that button expecting him to come out there and perform. At
Mhm.
some point, you're gonna get burned.
His
I don't know what
ability to be
what
fit
more.
as well.
Yeah, but you can't. When a player's got a niggle and a knock and another knock and a go, and then like for some reason and a back heel pass pretty
Mhm.
much knocks him out of the game. There's something not right there, no matter what you say.
Yeah,
Right? If you can't do a back heel kick like that without getting injured, how in the world is
you
five
can
days,
get
6 days
you
of
can
rest?
get
And then
injured by such an innocuous thing.
I know, but that means the body's worn down and it needs to rest and recover and rejuvenate. And you can't do that if you keep playing on said injury over and over again.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? If it's a hamstring, if it's an Achilles. I mean, if it's an Achilles issue that he has, and now the hamstring is getting pulled, it's because the body starts compensating, overcompensating for the injuries and that you already have. So you hurt something else. It happens all the time, right? You
yeah.
you hurt you hurt your calf, and next thing you know, you pull a muscle in your quad. You know, all these things, they just break down, and everything, it just trickles up the body. You twist an ankle, you try to go play on the ankle, you pull a calf muscle or Achilles, and all these things. So I kind of feel like at some point he needs to just
Like that
recover,
song.
get closer, not necessarily 100% because you're never going to be that, but whatever's ailing him right now needs to be stopped and slowed down so he can put in 90 minutes. I rather he play whatever 3 games in a row and sits out one, not like on the bench, like sit out one until his body's right. I don't think he can play. I mean, we talked about like Partey and how many games he can play in a season, right? This is the kind of like, and you have to monitor that. Same thing with Saka for me right now. If you want him to have a long career, you can't kill him out right now. It's not going to help you. You
Of
signed
all
him to
games.
5 year. You signed him to 5 year. Like that's why playing him to some degree made no sense. You got your warning signs. Heed the warnings.
And of all games to potentially miss, and Mike Hurst is very, very certain that he could be playing on Sunday, but of all games to potentially miss, it would be the Man City game at home. The one game that we're going to play Man City, and it's that we're going to have home advantage. Make no mistake, at the turn of the year and coming into April and May, we'll have to go to Man City, and it won't be so easy getting 3 points then, as it could be a little bit easier playing at home. I've not heard the Havertz song, so Gary, have you heard the Havertz song?
Isn't
What do you
that
think?
the whatever something 65 million wasted scores
Yeah,
a goal or whatever?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got more. He's got more songs than goals in the league.
BX said against Lons, there was nothing coming out of midfield but backwards, sideways passing. Their press forced us into that situation. We weren't able to break the press. You know,
Have we not seen that before?
we've
Has
seen
team
it
not seen
before.
that before? Our team pressing us? Is that like something new?
Some teams press with more
No, I mean like
enthusiasm and
since
vigor than
Arteta's been here, has he not seen that before? Has his teams not seen that before? Have these players not seen that before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, they've seen that before. I mean, so.
But when you choose as a player to go backwards, you're accepting that you're being pressed and you can't beat the press. You're not accepting the challenge.
You
Then.
have to at some point you're going to have to break it. Somebody has to break it. We see it all the time. One player, and that's when you have to think. You have to think moves ahead, and it can't just be one player. Can't just be one player.
We don't have a speed to do through balls, right? Come on, it's not that hard.
I'm not talking about through balls. I'm talking about beating the press. So in midfield, getting away from that press, and we went
through ball it. You threw ball it to one of your attackers, and it's good.
That's what we did. We were hitting long balls to our attackers. Gabriel Jesus up against the physical center back was not able to make anything stick. Trossard had a bad night as well. Vieira, Havertz, the list goes on. Because Saka is the only player we can really rely on to hold the ball up when it's given to him, up front. Odegaard had a bad night.
Outside of that,
but he can hold the ball up, right? He's good at it.
Yeah. Outside of that, I guess interception and pass from Saka, I guess he did look like the the best player to actually to break that press.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Odegaard had another bad game, and he played. I think he played pretty poorly against Tottenham as well in the second half.
I feel I agree that he seems to disappear at least, but I also feel like he's having to. You got a weak link in one of your lines, and 2 players have to step up and do take on other responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I think. Like this is no different to me than having Holding on a back line and then saying Holding wasn't the reason why your defense looked the way they did. it definitely has a reason. You Brett Havertz in that
Domino effect.
midfield there, it weakens it. So now everybody has to roll around and contribute in ways that he can't for whatever reason, like getting the ball up the pitch. That's now a job of
Rice.
Rice, right?
Yeah.
That's not typically what we're expecting him to do in that type of
No.
situation.
No.
Like Partey does it better when he's healthy, right? And then that pushes Erdegaard up the pitch, right? You
Yep.
see that kind of, so you weaken in one spot and then you expect everybody to stand up. Sometimes it works, but like it hasn't worked all season. So why is it going to work now? You know what I mean? Having him in that 8 hasn't really worked. He doesn't provide what you need going forward. He doesn't want to engage and take
You
on the
got a
defender.
stubborn manager, Gary.
I think all managers are stubborn, Tony.
Not like Arteta.
They all have different personalities, but to be a manager, you have to have a single-minded approach in a
You have
way,
to be consistent, and that's the one thing he isn't. He's not consistent in the way that he treats this game of football.
or the players.
He's willing to pull certain players out for not performing, but he has to do that for all players. So everybody knows that they have to perform.
Yep.
He's willing to go out there and bring in a player which will cause some controversy by bringing in Raya, but he won't do that. A lot of people say he shouldn't do that for Saka because guess what? A player who comes in knows that Saka gets to play. If that's the case, then you're not going to build a squad because if that's the way the mentality is for the fans, you can only imagine some players have a similar they have a similar
Yeah,
feeling
but you
for the way
got
what would happen.
You got Nelson, Jesus. You got
Yeah,
six
let me
players
ask
that can
you.
play.
If he doesn't play them, then he's showing you his cards.
How many?
He's showing you
Because
what he's going to do.
he's
Who
told you
plays?
that for years,
Who,
Gary.
who takes Mo Salah's place at Liverpool? Nobody. Mo Salah plays.
They don't have. If he doesn't play, they do have a good answer behind. They have
Yeah,
decent
another
players.
forward.
They have a decent player behind him. It isn't like they have nobody behind him,
Mm-hmm.
right? If Salah's out, which has happened before, they can put a front 3 up there, right? That's better than what we can when we go to our bench for certain positions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The way and Klopp feels confident putting somebody out there, right? Yes, having a world-class player makes it easy.
We
But
have
when that
gone
world-class
for,
player is injured, you have to have something.
Yeah.
You have
We
to be
do,
able to
Gary. We
rotate.
got Trossard. We got Smith Rowe.
We don't play
We
them, so
got
obviously it's
Nelson.
not. We don't have the. We're not.
You seen
He's
They're
not
there.
producing answers,
He
You
doesn't bring
seen
him in.
Nelson scored 2 goals in no time.
and that's meant absolutely nothing because we don't see him now.
Yeah.
Because
Stevenson.
you got a stubborn manager.
Everyone seems to forget that the defense Ramsdale finished with was poor, so we leak goals. If that happens with Raya, I expect the same to happen. We will also leak goals with David Raya. I actually thought that with David Raya coming in, and he had it for the first 2 games, there was a sense of calmness, a sense of the defenders feeling more secure with him behind them. But
Right.
hasn't been like that in recent games. Tony.
Who's been near the bottom of the league in goalkeeping stats for the last 2 years? That would be Ramsdale.
In some stats, right? The ones that you want to cherry pick to make the league table look the way you want it to look, right?
No, he's just not there.
There are some characteristics to Ramsdale's game where he's not going to rank as high as Raya. They have different qualities, right? But when you look at them all on the whole, it's very hard to say that David Raya is much better than Ramsdale.
Raya is a little bit better at most things than Ramsdale. That is true. Because I've listened to multiple people actually put the stats up there. So it's not like a 20% gap between the two of them, but it's a little bit better.
Percentages, right?
So it's percentages, yes, but it's better. So if you're going to get better in like all these stats over another person, you expect them to actually, that means you have a better player, right?
And over a longer, we're looking at a small sample right now, Gary. Correct. So over a longer season, things should even out where David Raya's performance will be 2 or 3 percentage points ahead of.
And that's
What
what you need
happens?
sometimes. But that's sometimes what you need. You want to be, but you want somebody who's just a little bit better than the other person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get
What
that.
happens
So
when Reyes diving to either side? What happens, Ray?
When he's diving the other side,
Either side, either direction. What does he do?
he touches grass.
He catches the ball.
Okay.
What does Ramsdale do?
He can catch a ball as well.
He does not catch the ball. He punches it out, putting his
I
center back
I happen
back
to
under.
remember. I happen to remember David Raya punching the ball for the Tottenham goal. Right? Am I wrong in saying that? David
Doesn't mean he
Raya
never does it.
in
But
the sequence of
for the
Son's
most
first
part, he
goal.
catches them, Ray.
In the sequence of Son's first goal, there was a punch from David Raya. He didn't catch him.
He catches most of them, Ray.
yeah.
Tony
Like
Bider.
I'm looking at a comparison of the two goalkeepers on
Yeah.
like FB Ref
Yeah.
versus all the other goalkeepers out there that they keep stats on. Raya is better on almost on all of them except for one or two. Launch percentage is off by 1.5%, 1.1%, and the average distance of defensive actions, he's 0.2 better, whatever that means. Average distance, so 0.2 feet or yards, whatever.
2 meters, maybe.
That's the only thing that he's better than Raya. Raya is
With maybe a percentage point.
it's a large percentage better than him on most things.
Yeah.
Like goals against, save percentage on penalty kicks. He hasn't actually done any, so that's not.
Like I said, he's
clean sheet percentage. I mean, touches, Lawrence percentage, goal kicks.
like
I
I said, he's
all
one of
these
the
things.
worst
So
statistically
when
in
you
the
compare
league.
them against all the other goalkeepers, Raya is a much better player, goalkeeper than he is. So
over the course of a season, we should get the benefit of those statistics,
and he played some tough games. The North London Derby was a tough one, and once again, we all look at that and go, nobody played well in that. So that means the defense in front of him wasn't that good. Raya, once again, another place where our defense kind of just melted in front of him. So I think
hung out to dry for both goals. I mean, you could not blame him for either of the goals.
Yeah, and I always tell you though, sometimes that goalkeeper has to make that one play, one save, no matter what.
He did make that save.
No, I know, but that's what he has to do. He's not going to get them all, but that's why your defense is to be better.
Stephen said, Ray, those first two Raya games, the opponents were poor. Well, first one was Everton away from home, and we lost that game last season. So I got to say on bare facts, Raya had very little to do. I felt like we were defensively very sound in front of him because he brought a calmness, and we won. We got 3 points from that game. The second one was PSV, and we reveled in having Champions League football for the first time in 7 years, and we played really well. And when your forward players play really well, they give you goals and allow you to have a good performance as a goalkeeper. PSV were poor because we were very good, I believe, in the same respect as Arsenal were poor against Lens because they put us under a lot of pressure and they pressed us hard on Tuesday night.
And that's how that looked fairly similar to when we did the press on City a couple of years ago. I got really surprised by what was going on, and the only difference was we didn't respond to it.
I remember that game. City had to dig hard to get anything, and they were lucky to get the win in the end.
We didn't look we didn't have that sense of urgency where we needed to get all the 50-50s. If you think, now I remember a lot in that game. If there was a ball rolling out there, Lens was getting into it before us.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't doing that, so we weren't fighting for anything. just letting them have whatever. And like at some point, you need to fight for something. Those 50-50 balls have to be yours.
Football,
You know,
football. At the end of the day,
yeah.
football, Gary, comes right down to that. The 50-50, as Mikel Arteta calls them, duels.
They went after all of that. We did not. We didn't like we wanted to.
And that's the
absolutely.
Champions League. That's the Champions League. At some point, though, you have to win a game or two away from home. But the Champions League, it's difficult. Tony, we've been talking about this for years, and we've been pining for the Champions League. Here we are in the Champions League. I told you last year we would lose a game or two in the Champions League. Now, I'm not freaking out about it as long as we take care of business in the remaining 4 games. But these things will happen in the Champions League. We may have prepared correctly. The manager may have prepared the players. Maybe he didn't. But the players certainly didn't go out and execute or be efficient, Tony.
It still boils down to he's stubborn. He has this system he wants us
Arsenal
to play.
did not lose on Tuesday night because Mikel Arteta is stubborn. I mean, there are contributing factors to this, but I don't
He's
think.
stubborn. He put Saka out there when he should have been out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, he's stubborn because he put Havertz was out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's more stubborn than Saka, if you get me, because you've got a whatever 60-70% Saka, and now you've got a Havertz on the field as well, who's been holding you back as well, right? So you kind of you need to make sure everybody's at top performance and good form going in, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
I would like to see what the video replay, what they say during them, and how it ignores how bad some places players are, or the opposite. Like last year, Tessard was helping us left and right. Looked great. Why Jesus was gone. I still hold that.
I know I heard somebody say that it was
if we kept with Tessard, we would have won the league.
Yeah, I heard people saying that on the game, and he's screaming a lot at Zinchenko for defensive purposes, which at some point, if you got to scream at somebody,
who's screaming at him?
Is Arteta.
Arteta's screaming at him.
Yeah, basically trying to get him, and keep him alert as to what's going on around him. And if you're doing that, at some point, the players, by the time you scream, even if he hears you, it's too late. Like that stuff needs to. That's what you go. That's what practice is for, So if you're screaming at, then maybe you have the wrong player there. If you feel like you have to keep screaming at him to do his job, and that's where Tony comes in and will tell you, just move him up the pitch so he can be further away from the goal and less likely to risk, a bad situation.
Sounds like another Granit Xhaka, but
do you know what position he played the most at City?
I think he was left back. Was he not? Wing back. You say wing back.
No.
What?
I'm pretty sure it was left midfield.
No, he was a defender because my brother-in-law is a Manchester City supporter, and he was exactly right about him. They loved him at Man City. Very good going forward, but defensively suspect. And, he hasn't changed in the 2 years that he's been with us. He is a number 10 playing the left back. Zinchenko is a number 10 playing the left back. Yeah. We've seen him pop up on the right wing against Everton last season. Mikel Arteta said, I don't care if he pops up to the right wing, but he better not be responsible for conceding goals. But that's part of where we are. Any other final points before we move on from the Champions League? Look, we're looking at it. Your last season's work is this season's reward when it comes to the Champions League. We earned the right to be in the Champions League last season. This year we're here because of what we did last year. Next season we need to be in the Champions League because of what we do in the league this year. And so it goes like that. There are teams that have been in the Champions League are now playing Europa League football, and we don't want to go back there, And the only way we do this, Tony, is if you improve your team, you bed them in. And Lons were second place last season. They've had to integrate some players.
What are they this year?
they've had to integrate some players, and it hasn't quite worked out for them just yet. But they've won the last 2 games in the league, and they've beaten Arsenal in the Champions League, so they're
They're
moving.
they're still 16th, right?
I know. We were 16 2 seasons ago after 3 games. We were bottom of the league after 3 games 2 seasons ago. We finished in 5th place. Probably should have gotten 4th and Champions League. So things can turn around really quickly in in a season for a team. And this season goes on for Arsenal. We're going to talk about City, but we're going to sort of interlude that with a quick VAR chat, Gary. Unless you've got anything else for Champions League.
No,
What do you make? What do you make of that VAR? Did you hear the audio?
So nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed, and now we have audio basically where the field officials are basically not communicating with the VAR at all, especially on a situation like that. You know the game situation at that point. If you're wrong on the offsides, and the fact that they did score, and you're rushing to get that ball back into play, when there is communication going on about it's onside, and that doesn't get communicated before the ball is replayed and all of that. What's weird is when you listen to it, I think it took them a minute, like they did not know what was going on the field, so that communication wasn't happening. So there was no communication, or they weren't watching the TV screen that actually showed, look, they were restarting this game back up again from the offside spot, right? Because you can hear them going through the scenario. Oh, it's good, it's onside, and then there's like a hesitant, and then there's a couple of bleeps to be in the middle of it, and the bleep at the end, because they know they screwed up, right? They knew they screwed up, and the communication just wasn't right. And I kind of felt like when they are reviewing, like when there is a score on a play, right? Like that, you cannot just rush to get it back into, that's, you got, you're rushing to like, no, not only does he, that game gets tainted now. You don't know what could have happened. It could have still ended up the same score. You don't know. Could ended up with, it could ended up with a draw. Could ended up with, that team scoring 2 goals. You don't know. You don't know what could have happened. If you knew. So not only that, but now because of it's so egregious, he can't manage a Liverpool match. So basically, they've said now that whenever something similar to this like that happens, he won't. He'll only screw up other teams. Essentially, is what he said. He won't get punished. He won't sit out games. He just won't do the Liverpool match.
Oh, this Darren England.
Yeah, so he's not allowed to do Liverpool matches for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we're getting disclaimers now.
So wait a second. What?
Yeah,
you're punishing the other teams for an incompetent official. I think for me that's more a process to some degree. And if this referee did what they said he did, and that's why he's getting punished like that, then he should be suspended. He should be suspended if that's what if you feel like you can't referee Liverpool anymore, then he should be suspended.
Well, I think Liverpool have objected to this person so much.
How many times? How many times have we been screwed over by a similar official?
Many times.
Now they're saying that yes, we will go out there and punish that official by not having it. We'll punish the rest of the league by having him not referee your games, but everybody else's. It doesn't. You're not going to have any officials left.
Because Liverpool would have gone probably to the highest court in the land, and they were threatening to do that, bring it all out in the open. The thing that's very clear about this is they just do a VAR check on the issue at hand, and they only say the terminology is only check complete. There should be, and I think they're going to insert terminology where they will actually say more clearly
that makes
it was a goal. This
that's
was
why
a good goal.
Check's complete because they are thinking the
Offside.
goal was given and it wasn't called offsides. They're thinking it was called onside.
The rule,
so
ruling on the
all they did
field.
was prove that it was onside, so there's no reason
Yeah.
to communicate that, right?
The
So
ruling on the field was offside.
there's two arrows crossing in the night.
Yeah.
There's two planes crossing in the night. Nobody knows they're there. They are continuing on with the game. These guys are confirming something, and that's not getting communicated. And you can hear, I think, the on-field officials saying, "We got it," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then after like 30, 40 seconds, oh, we've restarted too late. And it's like,
Can't stop that.
no, I can't. No, you confirmed it was a goal. You confirmed it was a goal 30 seconds ago.
And then because there's a rule in the game that says the game's restarted, you cannot do anything about it. Perhaps you stop the game and you talk to both managers and say, we've made a monumental blunder here. Now let's even it up and let Liverpool score. Let Liverpool score or whatever. You know what I mean?
You're not going to get that because they're going to screw you over. And they've screwed teams over so many times that why would you? It's become a situation where you're not going to give us the best officials, so they're going to screw up too many times for us to say, all right, let's make this right the right way. Because you're not punished. They're not getting punished. Why should I get punished? That official didn't lose any game. Didn't lose a game check.
No.
He's working next week.
He got paid. He got his envelope.
You know what I mean? So why would I
direct debit
punish myself and take away 3 points
Yeah.
because you can't do your job?
Well, in the interest of sportsmanship, let's say, Gary.
Yes, and that same sportsmanship will get me relegated. That same sportsmanship will get me knocked out of the Champions League position. That same sportsmanship will get me maybe not, an opportunity to win a league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You lose your job on situation. You lose your jobs on 2 and 3 points sometimes.
So the audio seems okay. The game is moving in real time, but the audio sounds very fast, very frenetic, because the game has been fast and frenetic, and they're talking in real time. At some point, there is a stoppage in the game where the offside, it's called offside on the field, so they're checking for offside. The guy says check complete. That says it was indeed offside, when they clearly saw that it was not offside because they drew lines. They brought lines from the tippity toe of one player. It's just barmy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then,
but are those clear and obvious?
the lines are clear and obvious. Yes.
Yeah. You can't like not make a straight line. The technology is pretty safe that way.
Yeah, but we've seen not straight lines.
So
we've not seen
here's the issue.
No lines. Either no lines or a line on the wrong player, but we've not seen crooked lines on the field.
Gary, in your job, Gary, do you have a set of procedures?
Yes.
Do you have it's documented somewhere?
Yeah,
your set of procedures.
Exactly.
So you go through the process 1, 2, 3, 4 very stringently.
Yep.
You do these
and
things.
the state in that case, he knew what he was doing when he rushed to judgment to get that game restarted for whatever reason. He has supposedly no skin in the game, right? Because he's an official. He's impartial. He's just doing a job, right? So there's no reason to rush this thing, especially in that part. At that point in the game, the situation it's a really tough game. Now all of a sudden, we got to rush this thing and get it. Let's move on.
Why did they have to rush it?
Yeah, there's no reason to. And it, like I said, if he hadn't scored, there's nothing much you can do about it. But there was a goal scored, and this is where in the States, when there's a scoring play, they review everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you know what I mean.
Sportsmanship,
Mr. Tom. You're asking a team to give up an opportunity to take the game. And actually, that goal wasn't scored. The goal wasn't scored right after that onside. The goal
my whole issue,
well later in the game.
I have a question for you, Ray.
Go ahead,
make
Tony.
your point.
Tony.
Growing up, when you were watching it, it was amateur referees.
Mhm.
How were they doing?
They were doing good.
Now you got professional ones.
You know why? You know why? Because they have
Should
something
they
to
go back?
lose. You know
Should
why?
they
Because
go
they have
back
something
the
to
old way?
lose. You know what they have
Yeah.
to lose? Big paychecks. It's all about the money. All of this is about the money.
I
That's
think
why. That's why I'm always concerned about why are these teams not concerned about the way these officials are behaving because it's losing their money.
here's the thing, isn't? And Tony, you're hitting on a good point here as well. I think if back in the day they had jobs, they went, did their job, and then they went and they officiated a game, and officiating the game was seen as their hobby then,
Yeah, the same thing with NFL referees. Most of them are lawyers and doctors. They go out there and just enjoy football, and they usually do a
baseball.
pretty good job.
Yeah, yeah. And you do it then because you have a love for the game, you know. Are we grabbing you, Gary, here and bringing you along in this conversation? You have a love for the game, so you put your passion into it more than if you're a professional and you get lazy.
Yeah, if you have no fear of losing your job for poor performance, then this is
Mhm.
what it looks like.
Yeah.
No matter what these officials have done, they never get punished enough to where I
Yeah.
should take this thing a little bit more serious than I am. They don't have to.
We have 3 or 4 of them in the booth, and they all saw the same thing. I think they all believed or didn't even care to watch if it was correct.
That's what gets me. Why is the VAR guy of every game one of the 20 referees?
Yeah, that
Darren
they
England.
should
Yeah.
they should be a separate entity. I've said it all the time. Should
As
be a third
Moss.
party. They should have no relationship with the officials. No relationships at all. It shouldn't be how can you referee yourself? That's essentially what VAR is, right?
As
It's
I
Moss
refereeing
said,
mean,
yourself. Yeah.
Moss, you're
I'm
about an hour and 30 minutes late. Set your clock back 1 hour, Moss, and you'll catch us next time. Pretend we're on Central Time or whatever that is, right, Tony?
yeah.
Uh, get rid of the old ref club and no backroom decisions. Only ref looking at all of the camera angles. The VAR room, they should just be techies getting all the views ready for the ref and for the official.
I totally agree.
That's a great point.
And then
Yeah,
if they look at a
my
video and they make a
just
decision, somebody
pull
like
everything
they
and they
supposedly
can see it.
evaluate them for certain things, right? So if you can show them on the screen that they're on side and they look at it and go, no, he's offside, or you know what, you think there's a handball, it never touches his hand, and then you blatantly have to cheat and lie.
Bring the evidence.
Yeah,
Like Moss said, and like you said, Gary, bring the evidence. The on field referee can go and look at it on the monitor and make his own
but
decision.
yeah.
I've never understood why it's not a requirement.
Like I said, procedures. Gary has procedures he's got to follow. Why can't VAR have procedures? We never see, sometimes we don't see the lines drawn on the screen.
But
Sometimes we just go straight to a decision. Sometimes there's something happened in the box, and would the commentators tell us, check complete after 10 seconds. Some
yeah,
of these
but
things take 10 seconds. Some of these things take 4 minutes.
yeah, but if a referee goes over and looks at it when they have everything preloaded, it's gonna take about a minute.
Yep.
Why don't they do that on every
I don't know.
Because they have an
call?
official in the box, and that's where it makes absolutely no sense. Because one, they're making a decision, and they're not part of the game, so they don't understand. They can all they should be able to do is be an advisory and say, look here, and see what you see, and tell us if you got it wrong, right? And then you're only correcting your own mistake as opposed to somebody correcting your mistake.
Moss is West. I'm West, my man.
Mm,
All right.
mm.
My way is the easiest, best solution, but your old boys ref club would lose some jobs for sure. Yeah.
No, it should
crazy.
be it should be that there should be a little bit
But
more. variety in the way these officials are
But
appointed.
I've said it many times. It's not VAR. They're not assisting. They're hindering is
Yeah,
what they're doing.
yeah. Should be VHR,
I
video
mean,
hindering review.
No,
You know,
it should be a job. It should just be a separate job. It shouldn't be my side gig. So when I'm not refereeing on the field, I go up and into into a room with TV screens and do a job. It
I
just
mean,
doesn't.
what
It's
if they're gonna do it? Why can't they just grab a bunch of amateur referees, put
so
them in a room, and say,
yeah,
"What do you think of this?"
and in this audio, we heard one guy saying, "Are you happy with that? You've made a decision that's clearly wrong. Are you happy with that?"
well they double check him, but you said, as you said, they were confirming it was onside.
Yes, that's what
But
happened.
but
They were
but
confirming it
the
was
official,
offside.
they
Or
were
on,
confirming it was
yeah,
no, they were confirming. They said onside. I'm correct,
okay,
onside. But you said they didn't say there's a problem because the on-field decision was offside. So when they confirmed it,
right. Check complete.
they were saying we checked what you asked
That's
for.
what
When in
happened.
reality, they checked what they wanted to check for, and it didn't match.
Yep.
They confirmed it was onside. The other side sounded as if they confirmed that it was offsides.
Check complete. Yeah. Carry on.
I, I
Crazy.
just get.
Just
I'm so
crazy.
tired of talking
So
about this like every other week.
I know. I know. The
But it keeps happening,
terminology,
right?
though, the terminology needs to be goal or no goal.
Yeah.
Doesn't that make it so much easier? Instead of saying, you could even say check complete, goal for Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, um,
I just thought it was weird that they didn't know that they called offsides
yeah.
in that moment
Well, the whole thing
because you
happened so
because
fast.
like what are they watching? Like I know they're watching a replay, but at the point where they're communicating back and forth, the game is starting to continue on, and the official is setting the ball down to to restart the game.
See, that's what happened. That official, Simon Hooper, taking a big game like that, and he was pretty card happy, and maybe the nerves got to him on the game as well to keep it moving
But
fast.
but can't you make rules concrete? They say
Should be able to.
a non-scoring part of your body is not offsides, but you had it this weekend. An elbow or a shoulder was offsides. You can't use your arm to score.
Hmm.
So how is that offsides?
I know. And that's where a book of procedures would be very, very helpful. Gary has to do it. I have to do it at work as well.
I just like the idea of, um, what is it called? Clear space. What's it called? You guys would call it, where you have actually space between, not that it's a difference,
Level.
but there's actually space between. So like your offsides when there is actually free green between you and the player, not when it's like this. Because that's
Level.
just too nobody's going to get that right, and this is a precise science when it's like this and you can't tell,
Yeah.
you know. But if there's
Yeah.
space between it and you can see the space, then yes,
Yeah.
then it should, I forgot what it's called. I can't think of the actual phrase, but I think they're saying instead of using the just position wise, but if there's actually space between you, like there's actually a gap,
Clear
so
daylight.
there's no, there, yeah, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's fine margins. Yeah.
Mr. Tom is here. I say it often, but VR should be operated by people who don't like football. They just apply the rules with no bias or intimidation. And
Yep.
again, as Tony said, serve up the angles, serve up the, um, the lines, and let the referee. The referee should be responsible on the field for all of his decisions. And one other thing I would say about this as well: don't freeze frame the picture where the guy's leg is clearly bent from that red card. Don't start at that point. Although I agree it was a red card
The
and
way
it was
they've called
dangerous.
it, it's there's
But
things
yeah,
they've been consistent with the whole time, and they've been consistent with that one. So it is what it is. Unless you want to change the way they institute the rules,
if
that's
you
one
see
thing.
that
But
picture,
they've been
you're thinking
consistent with
red.
the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's not good. That could be a
Mm.
broken ankle, a broken leg."
Like, yep,
Immediately, I said, "That's
yep.
I can see why it's a red."
One
Um,
final thing, I would like to have heard the audio from the Arsenal Brentford game as well back in February.
mm,
You know, when we
yeah, it sounds
were
like they do have that, right? It sounds like they have it.
they've
They
got
have
the
that
audio.
communication. Yes,
They just seem
yes.
to really,
And
and
the fact
funny
that they
enough,
put the fact that they put that audio out means
it's
they're
there.
gonna have to do that all the time because
Yeah.
everybody's gonna want to know why did this call not go for me. And
Funny enough, Gary, up at Anfield, Tottenham and Liverpool played a game a few years ago, and they released that audio where the referee didn't know what the hell was going on. And he said, "I'm going to give a penalty." He didn't know what happened, but he said, "Okay, I'm going to give a penalty. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to give a penalty to Harry Kane," and that's
he
crazy.
probably deserved it. Maybe not for that situation, but there's been many a time when you're like,
Uh,
how does this guy not even have a yellow card by now? So,
so yeah, I mean,
yeah.
as Tony says, can we go a weekend without these incidents happening? And back in the day, we had amateur referees, and they refereed for the love of the game. Um,
I'm just I'm just so tired to have to talk about it 15, 20 minutes on 4 or 5 podcasts a week. It's just like
I do
But it's
think
part
though
of
the
the
media,
game. It's part of the game.
yeah, the media do enjoy it. It sort of, I think, Gary, does it heighten the product of the Premier League?
No, not at all. So that's why
Does it?
you should do it better. You should
Does it create more
use the person.
awareness? Does it create more awareness for the Premier League? Like,
I don't think it
Either
does.
people are laughing at you saying you can't get that right. But like
mm,
I said, it's costing people jobs, not the people who are causing it, but the
not the
people
people who are making the
you know what I
decisions.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. We'll move on from VAR and its many,
Can
many
can
faults.
can we make a comment?
Yeah,
Again, you always make great.
the one I
Does
always
it
make.
not work for rugby? Rugby tells you everything.
Yep, yep. I would actually enjoy hearing the referee talk. I don't know. It might get old for some people. These
No, they should be
referees.
able to explain their decision in the moment because that's what they're doing. You go over there, you spend some time, and you're like, the call is offsides. You know, or for whatever reason, his foot was behind. There was no clear handball. Their proximity was too close. You know, for us to call it a handball. The hand was
Watch,
out of a normal position. It's a handball. You know.
watch, watch the Rugby World Cup this weekend. You'll hear the referee talking to the players and talking to the booth when they have big decisions to make, and they almost inevitably make the right decision as well. I know maybe rugby's more of a technical game that you come to a right or wrong decision 100% of the time, but it definitely would help if we hear the referees in the Premier League as well. But they're Tony, do you believe they're ever going to do that? They're going to mic the refs on a consistent basis.
I think we'll have it kind of like rugby where they turn it on. I don't think we'll have it constantly. They'll just do it when there's a challenge or when somebody
A
thinks it's
decision.
wrong.
Okay. I mean that would be a good starting point. You know what I mean? Um,
It's
Moss
simple.
said, "Funny."
But to me, you should either fix it or get rid of it at this point.
Yeah. Well, we've identified VAR is not is not the is not a bad tool to use. So fixing it or getting rid of it is the people who are using it.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
like I said, I think the goal line technology that creates the buzzer immediately when there's a VAR decision being explained, they should choose the same technology to buzz the official so he can hold the game up.
yeah,
Right, especially in a situation
yeah.
like that because there was a lot of miscommunication. So that's why I feel like it was part process and part people not doing their jobs. Somebody, there's miscommunication there. in a crucial part of the game.
Yep.
And
Moss said, funny how we get so many apologies. I think there's been a huge amount of apologies even from the beginning of the.
they showed like over the last
Well, they
year or
kind of
two,
they said
and
they
like
were to change that stuff at the
Arsenal's
end of
got
last
two
year.
apologies in there, so teams are getting
Happens.
affected. So
Happens once to Liverpool. Look at the uproar now. Imagine if City got screwed for once, things would change, And Pep Guardiola was arguing with the referee in the Carabao Cup game when they were defeated by Newcastle, and he got sent to the stand against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, yeah,
Probably why they lost this past weekend.
like at the Women's World Cup, right? I want even more too. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Who is their main assistant coach?
for who?
City.
The main assistant coach. We never know his name. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Anybody?
he's got more experience than Arteta.
I think City fans would know that kind of thing.
Probably.
All right, Gary, that's the Champions League done. We're not in a bad situation because
you can dial up your nephew and niece and find out.
Huh?
So you can dial up your nephew and find out.
I bet my nephew doesn't even know who the assistant coach is.
It's not that important. Why do you care? It's like why do you care who plays behind Haaland? You don't really,
Yeah, exactly.
But it was funny with Arsenal when Wenger was coach. You always knew who the assistant was because they would talk about it a lot.
Yeah, because the assistant would nod yes to Arsene Wenger all the time. Yep, yes, boss. Steve, but we knew Steve Bold. We knew Pat Rice at the time. We're not in a bad situation despite this defeat, Gary. We're on 3 points. Lons are on 4 points. Sevilla 2 and PSV 1. The next game is away to Sevilla. And you mentioned earlier we've got to win one of these games. And so Sevilla away won't be easy, but we got to go there and get a win.
In reality, as you said, we need to win 3 out of our next 4. It'd be better to win the next 3 so that we don't have to be too concerned about
the one
PSV
I could
game.
See us losing, but I couldn't. The Lens one just.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that team now. The way they press, you could see how they did well last season in the French league. If they played like that most every game, now you're not going to get that kind of performance every game. But this is where, if you're in the Champions League, every team is there on merit, Tony.
That's when you go to Tom's tactic truck and you change what you're doing.
Well, do you stick like a blue finger on some places, right?
I'm not sure where Tom sticks his finger.
Yeah, I don't even. Let's just move on from that. I mean,
yes, you started this, Tony. Let's move on to Sunday. What do you want to see on Sunday, and what kind of team do you want to put out, Tony, on Sunday? You pick the team. You're the manager.
One that has Trossard in it. I still want to see Zinchenko up in there with that. Arvids has been playing.
Mm-hmm. Left eight. Okay.
I would put Tomiyasu as left back.
Win
over center backs.
Yep.
Never fucking. That's still the thing that bewilders me about this entire season. Why the fuck did Ben White start as the right center back?
Because of Gabriel Magalhaes and the interest from the Saudi League.
And we're never going to sell him, right?
No, but the player, obviously, Mikel Arteta decided that he wasn't in a fit frame.
Some say you say that, and there's other people that say Zinchenko was hurt, and that's why, and the relationship wasn't gonna work. So that's why that.
Yeah, but I don't think because Zinchenko was hurt.
If you believe it's because of the Saudi league, then it's plausible that it also could have been because Zinchenko was injured and the dynamics.
They're not
where
connected.
Arteta said
Those two
none of
things
not,
are not connected.
they're not connected, but they both are viable reasons why he didn't play.
So you're saying Gabriel Magalhaes didn't play because Zinchenko was injured.
So there's a theory for that. Yeah.
That would be a bigger reason why he would play because Zinchenko's injured.
No, because they don't play well together. They don't play. He doesn't play well without him. That's why.
I'm not buying that.
You're saying when you break the pair, you should just continue to go with it, even though as a manager you may feel it.
Well,
I
we
think
don't know.
Gabriel Magalhaes can play a game of football without Zinchenko.
I know it, but why does your answer have to be more correct than mine? They're both viable and both plausible.
Because I have to be right 51% of the time,
okay,
and you have to be
We
right
know
49%
Zinchenko
of
is
the time.
going forward and leaving Gabriel on an island.
I just want to be 1% better.
True.
Don't we know that, Ray?
What?
We know Zinchenko as I keep leaving Gabriel on the island because there's
Yes.
not going to be somebody on that left side protecting him.
Yes.
We had Timber doing that. But
And that's why the Timber injury is so hurts so much is because
Yeah.
you get a lot. He looked comfortable with the ball at his feet, and defensively pretty strong,
It's
pretty
very
solid,
strong.
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you're getting somewhat a little bit of an invert play there, but much better defensive play, right? I mean, I think Arteta was trying something out, see if it would work. You've got Partey on the pitch, so now you've got, even a more solid defensive structure there, which should allow your midfielders to push the ball up.
But we seen this last year with Tomiyasu. He would move him to where the strongest player was going to be.
Well, 1 or 2 games
then
do it exclusively.
He did it. Then the fans called for it again. It was always going to be horrible because it wasn't a good lineup because the better winger was on the other side of the pitch. You put him back as...
Well, if that's Arteta listening to the fans...
You're talking about Tottenham 2 seasons ago.
That's silly.
That was last season, right?
Against who?
I don't know who it was.
Well, Tomiyasu is a right back.
I just remember Tomiyasu.
They did it twice last year.
Up against Salah.
And everybody was calling
it worked,
for it.
And then
everybody was calling for it the following game.
Why is he?
But the stronger
you think he actually listened to the people?
The stronger winger was on the other side of the pitch.
You really think he was listening to them, Tony?
Yeah, I don't think Arteta is that much.
One
that
person was calling for. Nobody
Arsenal
wants
fans.
Havertz on the field. Nobody wanted Xhaka on the field for years. He never listened to them. Now all of a sudden you think he's listening to them?
Yeah.
I'm not saying the fans. I'm just saying him. The fans were calling for it.
And then it
was stupid because the better winger was on the other side of the pitch. On the right side.
So who made that decision, Tony?
We got one game where he played left. Then he played left again when the stronger winger was on the other side. He didn't have somebody to shut down. He had a shitty player on that side. He had a good player on the other side, which Ben White isn't as good as a defender as Tomiyasu.
No.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Ben
White is a decent defender, but not as good as Tomiyasu when it comes to the one.
Yeah, I don't know where you were going with that because I don't believe it was Arteta doing it because of the fans.
I didn't say it was because of the fans.
You said they were. Your first point was they were calling for it.
I'm saying the fans.
He said it, but he didn't mean it.
Here, Gary. I'll explain it to you.
That's all right.
No, I'll explain it to you. He did very good in one game on the left side. Who was over there, Ray? You should remember.
Nobody knows.
Mo Salah.
He shut him down. Then the following game, he still plays left. All the fans were calling for left. But like I said, the good player was on the...
Was it Tottenham?
It probably was Tottenham, I think.
Maybe you
I
don't
think we played
understand what
Tottenham
Arteta's
first,
doing,
though.
and maybe Arteta was just playing him on the left, and it just so happened that Salah comes up that side.
He
Because
was
if
putting him against a
you don't, how
stronger
can you believe that when you just said the
wingers.
next game he did the exact opposite?
Because
So-
Arteta's an idiot at times.
Maybe he was just playing him on the left. And
Tony.
that's it.
So Tony, what's your right side? You went left side for Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, and Trossard. What's your right side?
Then you get
What's your team?
we know the center back, so it's gonna be
Yep.
White. It's gonna be White. It's gonna be Odegaard.
Yeah,
And
it's got to be
I probably put just Trossard there.
Trossard. You put Trossard already on the left.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't put Nelson on there, right? Doesn't matter. He's gonna do a good
Nelson.
job.
Yeah. Now, are you playing David Raya?
Yeah. He's a better goalkeeper.
Are you
He's a
playing
better
David
goalkeeper.
Raya or Ramsdale?
I'm playing him. Yeah, he's better
Who?
keeper, right?
Who are you
He's
playing?
better.
Which one?
You know which one's better. It's not
David Raya.
Ramsdale.
Okay, you're playing David Raya.
I just said Raya.
Okay, I didn't quite hear you. Is Partey in midfield for you? Or Rice?
I
And
want
who's your
to
striker?
word. I would have Rice.
Who's your striker?
And your striker, I guess, is going to be Nketiah.
Who?
It's going to be Nketiah or Jesus.
You're gonna play Nketiah.
Your first name that comes out of your mouth is Nketiah.
That's who's been playing there.
The first name that comes out of your mouth is you would go with Nketiah and then maybe Jesus. Is that basically what you're
Jesus
saying?
is not a striker.
Nketiah is not
Proving
a
this.
striker.
Jesus
So-
gives us the best chance on Sunday, I think, over Eddie Nketiah. I'll give you my team real quick, Gary, and then you can get into it. We know our two centre backs, Saliba, Gabriel, Magalhaes. I'd go Tomiyasu left back, Ben White right back, David Raya between the sticks. If Partey's fit, yes, I'm going to start him, even though I agree with what you're saying. Might be dodgy to start Partey. Declan Rice in the left aid with Erdegaard. And my front three is Trossard. I'd play Havertz as the striker and Jesus on the right side. Moss says Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Alexander Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Erdegaard, Trossard, Kai, and Jesus up top. This is all because we believe maybe Saka won't make it.
Yeah, but he's saying Jesus up top, which means Kai goes out as a wing. I'm not sure that works.
I think he's just saying Trossard, Kai, and Jesus up top as a trio. So put Jesus through the middle. Or no, Havertz through the middle.
So you're going to weaken, once again, you're going to weaken the number 9 position.
Why? With Havertz?
Yes.
Is that weakening it?
Yes.
He played well in the
He's not
community.
better than
think so.
Jesus at 9.
He played
not
well in
better.
the community shield in that position.
Jesus is a winger, Gary.
All right. And
All right, now
now
you
about
get to
Havertz
give us-
playing a 9.
Now you get to give us your team.
As I
Gary.
told you, I would have Nelson and Trossard and Jesus if Saka's out.
Yep.
Up top. If Partey is healthy and they were saving him for this game, then he plays. But if he still can't give you 90 minutes, then yeah, you're gonna have to go. I personally would just go with Jorginho and Rice and Erdegaard.
That's good. I like that.
So and if
Jorginho.
Partey can play, and you can bring him on late in the game to close it out because
Mhm.
you think he's got minutes. If he's on the bench, he should be able to give you minutes at the end of a game. So
That double pivot. I've been talking about that double pivot for against top 16.
we need to control this game.
Mhm.
We need to control this game. We really need to control this game. And we control it through the middle. Everybody says that. You control the game through the middle. So we go with our strongest 11. Sorry, our strongest midfield. And
Who's
do
your
that.
left back?
I do like the idea of. I mean, for me, if you're going to go with Partey and Rice, there, I think you're almost okay having Zinchenko there. But
Yeah.
I do like Tomiyasu. I just, depending on how we would have to change the way we play if you have White and Tomiyasu playing out there out wide, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get the same style of play.
No.
So Arteta has to decide whether if he's going to stay with his similar style of play, then Zinchenko has to play. If he chooses, like,
I think.
I can go a little bit more defensive and let
Yeah.
Erdegaard basically control the middle of the pitch and direct traffic and all of that.
I think if we're without Saka and Martinelli, we need to be very tight at the back because we're not scoring more than 2 goals. If we do not have Martinelli, we do not have Saka.
Well, that's the problem because you have Zinchenko that wanders up, and then Gabriel's on an island.
Yeah, that's why if you have a double pivot,
Double
then you're
pivot.
better off, right?
Jorginho, Partey, Jorginho, Rice.
Why do you have a double pivot when you got 2 great center backs?
Because they can get at you from the wings. Your center backs are supposed to just cover the box, right? They cover that area of the pitch.
But why is nobody dropping back anymore?
Do you want Grealish? Do you want Grealish?
Who do you want to drop back, Tony?
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter because if you're going to give me an explanation as to an approach, tell me who do you want to roll backwards to cover the left side of the pitch when Zinchenko bombs up?
Are you putting who are you putting in the middle?
Doesn't matter. Just tell me who you would have come back. What would be your preferred player? It doesn't matter, Tony.
My answer does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Rice,
just tell me who's coming back.
Partey?
No, tell me who's coming back. Who's coming back? Just pick one player. Who's coming back?
I would have Rice dropping back into the left row.
And Zinchenko, and then who's in front of our back line at that point?
Who's your protection in front of the back four?
If you're gonna roll back.
You put
Rice.
Like I said, you can put Partey there, or you can put Rice there.
Are you playing 3 at the back, Tony? Is that what you're talking about?
We play 2 at the back a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Well,
this is against Manchester City.
We can't say the form that we are in because
this game.
Hybrid.
This game is against Manchester City, and we're playing at home, and we need to. We've already dropped 4 points at home. We cannot drop more points at home. This is a must win.
On defense, I probably would have a back 3. I think probably Rice could drop there in the middle and help.
You've yet to see it consistently enough for me to believe that it's going to happen. Even when we've needed to do that.
All I know is that this is a game we must win, and we need to score at least 2 goals, and that means we can only allow 1 goal at most conceded against us. If we concede more than 1 goal, we're not going to win this game, and it is Man City, and there's not many teams that will come to the Emirates and win there. Man City have the potential to do that. We need to not have that happen in this game. We have a very difficult final 10 games of the season where we have to play away from home 4 times against the top 6 teams.
We haven't even got to our 10th game. You're talking about the last 10.
Because we need to win our home games.
So no, but we need to win the next game. You know what? You know what we need to do after we win the next game, Ray?
The game after.
We need to win the next game.
Yeah.
You know what? Guess what? We just need to win the next game because the only thing that matters is the next game. I can't. If we can't be thinking about City when we have lawns, right? We can't be thinking about what happens after we come back from the international break. We got to beat City. You know what I mean? So we can't be thinking too. We don't have to look too far in the future. We have enough going on in front of us to go looking far out. The season is 1 game at a time. You got to play them all to win, and you don't know which one you're going to get. You might. That's why we can't play all of them, and you got to rotate your players to give them touches. Everybody needs to get some minutes underneath their legs. I mean, I was looking at it the other day, and Timber has more minutes than Emil Rowe and Nelson. He's played 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Timber, who has only played a half of football,
One
basically
game. Yeah.
just over a half a game, has more minutes than Nelson and Emil Rowe. And we've lost Martinelli, and we have an ailing Saka. We were missing Gabriel Jesus for part of the season. Two of your attacking players have played, what is it, 47 minutes? I think it was total.
Yeah.
And you re-upped on them and put a lot of trust in them with the
Well,
contract.
it is only 8 games into the season, so these players have to have a bigger part to play in the season.
They're not going to get that now. It's going to only get tougher and tougher each time. Every game you push forward in the season and you don't rotate, it becomes this. So now we're going to force them to play because Saka is out. We're going to force them to play because Martinelli is out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't
Gary.
we shouldn't be trying to force players to play. They should just be part of rotation.
Right.
Players come and go.
Tony, I have
Gary.
a question for you.
Knowing what Arteta does, he doesn't rotate.
Much.
We can't win every game because we can't be in 4 competitions.
You can't pick and choose which one. How do you know which one
You don't know that yet, Tony.
Tony, which one are we going to win? Can you pick it? Can you tell me now? We just drop out of everything but one of those games.
Yeah, which one do we
tournaments.
concentrate
Which
on?
one should we focus on? You don't do that.
Champions League.
But we're not going to win. Like, I'd love to win the Champions League.
You're going to win a Champions League with Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Napoli. You pick any of those teams, they are better suited to win right now than we are because they've had experience doing it. And some of them have played in a final.
What was our – where were we? We were second or third in betting on winning the Champions League.
Yes.
Wait. Do you think we're not even – how sure are we to make the top 4?
We will definitely make top 4 this season.
I think
in the league.
You
have to be really, in relative terms, you have to be a bad team. You have to be a Man United to be outside top 4.
Having Newcastle starting to come back. You got Spurs.
What do you think? Do you think Arsenal? Do you think Arsenal will make top 4, Tony?
I think we're going to be in the battle from 3rd to 5th.
Do you think we'll finish in the top 4, Tony?
I don't know.
He doesn't know. Okay.
If I had to give you an answer, I would say no.
Yeah, I just don't think
it'd be under 50%.
I don't think you can say you're going to be able to compete for the top 4 if you give up games, if you losing. I don't think that's a good, healthy relationship or good, healthy mentality to have. Is that, you know what? We're going to pick and choose which games we're going to play. We didn't like it the last time it happened. Now you're saying we should do it. We played Southampton in back-to-back games, one in the FA Cup and one in the league. And we chose to play a certain way for one game and not the other. And even at that point, I think we got knocked out of, the FA Cup, I think, by Southampton or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did not feel good. But the way we set it up perfectly, right, to do that.
Yeah, we weren't.
Right?
We put a team out there that said we were not interested in advancing in the FA Cup. We'll exit right now. Thank you very much and concentrate.
Yeah, but that's why you throw out academy kids and
it's not a good mentality to have. So you just put them out there to get destroyed by teams.
Tony, I don't know if we're going to. I think we'll win a trophy this season. We have to win a trophy this season. I don't know if it's the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, but it's one of those two that could give us the best chance of winning a trophy this season.
You don't think we're Champions League?
I think the Champions League would be a great adventure. It would be I think it would be long odds for us to win the Champions League this
You
season.
can't put all your cards into one
They give you
tournament.
20 to
You
1
just
right
can't.
now.
You can't do that. It's not a good way. It's not a healthy way to run your squad. Because basically all you're saying is I'm just going to put all my starters in the Champions League,
Before
and then we're
before
gonna.
the Lens games, we were third.
Yep. We're still third.
Yeah.
Third to win it. So
We're
if
So
you're
you're
third
saying
to win it,
third in the league and third to win it.
you think it's still third now that we lost?
I don't think that would change very much, Gary. And it's
Yeah.
okay. We're going to come up against a Bayern. You wouldn't know if we would beat a Bayern or
Not
not.
if the odds are that you're going to get third, then you're potentially how many? There's only going to be two other teams
Real Madrid
that will
and
be
City.
up there that
Yeah.
have a chance to get to the
Yeah.
semifinals, right? That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
That are better than you. And so what team? And we're saying what is that? Those two teams are what?
Sure.
Bayern
If we
and
say
City or something?
if we say it's Real Madrid and City, then
Yeah.
we have to say we could beat a Bayern, or we could beat a Napoli, we could beat a PSG,
Mhm.
As well.
what
Those
what
could-
what was it now? Is it 3 years or is it 4
Barcelona.
years now that Spurs made it to the final?
They call lightning in a bottle. They got all the way to the final. They got luck.
I know.
I think it was
It's all about
2020.
luck though.
It was when
and they
Liverpool
fin-
won. Liverpool
and
won the
that
Champions
team-
League. I think it was 2020.
And that team the previous season finished 1 point behind us. And that season we were about equal too. It's about just getting luck on your side.
Exactly.
What happens?
No injuries.
So to me,
Had some luck.
Champions Leagues, they
Well, where did they
just
finish
route.
in the league? That team when they went into
They
the finals.
finished fourth, I think.
And you're thinking that we can do the same thing, but you don't think we're top four.
I think it's
That's what you said.
tough. I think it's gonna be tough based
has
on
doubts.
his rotation.
So then basically putting all your eggs in one basket to try to win the Champions League isn't a good idea.
No.
Because if you don't think we're top four, but
Yeah,
we should
but
be able
we
to
had
challenge for a Champions
People
League.
were doing that the other year. They were saying,
Yeah.
The
"Did
two
we
things.
put all the eggs in the?"
But the
What
two
was
things
the
are
two-
separate. Your league
were the
form
two
will get
things?
you. Your league form will get you an entry into
Right.
next season's Champions League. If you're in the cup this year, you try to win it. Yeah.
What competitions were we talking about in the Easter basket so much?
Yeah, the Europa League or
What
top
was the
four.
other one?
Top
was
four
top
or the
four?
Europa League.
And I think most people said Europa League, right?
Yeah, because we felt it was a weaker competition that you could at the time the squad that we had, you would feel that we could win the Europa League easier than getting top four, playing against Liverpool and a City who basically took the top two spots for the last 5 or 6 years. As Stephen said, the way we're playing right now, fourth is in doubt for me. Of course. What if the way we're playing right now is the one probably a bad patch we're going through right now, and we're going
It has to be, or else we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only going to get worse. I mean, Saka may not get healthy. Martinelli may not come back the way he was. I mean, we have to believe that we're just playing poorly right now. We will get better, because if not, we're in trouble for sure.
And Sunday could spark a performance from us. A little bit like
we need to play up
Airport Albert Sunday.
We need to play up to a team as opposed to play down to a team. I believe that. I believe we're better than we've played every game this season. We've played basically down to the teams.
And I think it's going to be a pretty even game, Gary. What do you think?
I would like to say yes, but it's not. Even though they've lost
Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne.
Rodri, they've brought in Guardiola. They've brought in two other players, Doku.
Count
right?
Doku, yeah.
Yeah, so they brought in decent backup players who are playing, not injured. So as much as we want to say yes, Rodri and KDB out, Alvarez is playing behind
In case you didn't know, Gary, that was a
yeah.
Star Wars reference.
No,
by
I
the way.
know, I know. I just, yeah.
I
But
just
like I said,
totally love
I
that.
don't. I think they're coached well. They went out
Mhm.
there in the market and picked up really good players. No Havertz, no Ray creating controversy, and they've been lucky they didn't get a Timber. Think about it. We've got 3 players on the 4 that we brought in. Only Rice is the one that's panned out. Havertz, nope. Timber, nope. Hasn't worked out. We got unlucky there. Raya is just creating even more of a drama that we don't need.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear
Well,
any of that from City. The way they brought in those players, and yes, they're losing experience, but they have talented players there.
so what's the drama that Raya's created?
That's what I was wondering.
You know?
Ramsdale versus
Yeah, but who created that?
yeah,
Who's created that? The media.
our manager
No,
created that.
no,
It's
no.
the fans.
The media and the
fans.
fans have created that.
He didn't come out and say
Raya
that's
is
my
a
number
better
one.
keeper.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's
That's
what his plan is. I hope he
Yeah,
doesn't
but
have to switch his goalkeepers.
I
I
tell
said it when he came in that, you know what, this looks eerily similar to when Ramsdale came in.
yeah.
Right as soon as the
how many
international window,
How many categories was Leno? Or I
like
mean
3 out of
Ramsdale
the
ahead,
11 or whatever, 3 out of the 10, he was better.
and one of them I don't count because you listed the distance he runs out. I don't think that's a good thing. So that's
It's
2.
very fine details, very fine
Yeah, but those, like I said,
minutiae.
those are the stats
But
that
isn't
put
that
out there.
too? Isn't that too? Do you, Ray? Do you count how far the goalkeeper's out? As
No,
a good thing.
no.
He should be back in the net.
I respect the stats in the game, but I basically use my eyes, and
That's just a
my,
silly stat, though.
my eyes will tell
Well, it's
me.
not really, right? If you think about it, it's not really, because if you're saying that, you know what, my goalkeeper can come out and play further away from the goal,
A
that's a
sweeper.
good thing, right? So that means I can push the ball up further up the pitch, which is what you want as well,
And that's
right?
Yeah,
another
but
thing. That's another thing.
Raya can kick it longer, right? You've seen it.
Yeah. But that's another thing as well. The way we're trying to be so progressive, right? We're doing that with Zinchenko. Now I think Raya is under a little bit of pressure to be progressive too, and that pass was seized upon by the left back and created that goal. I feel like we're so much on the front foot that when things break down, there's only 1 or 2 players there to try and stop things, and it's Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes and the goalkeeper that are the 3 players that are
And
stuck.
that's the problem with playing out from the back because you got 3 guys there.
Yeah, but some
When it
people will
goes
One of
tell
wrong,
them's
you,
the
if
keeper.
you watch the game, right? So some people will tell you that Saliba lost the striker as he was coming into the box. He went
yep,
too deep. I mean,
yep.
he had Gabriel behind him who was covering a player. He was covering no one. If he had stepped up a little bit, he may have
It cuts
intercepted
that
that
off.
ball, and
Yep,
they don't
yep,
even get the chance. So
yep.
I always, there's different ways to handle that, and he has Ramsdale behind him. So if he does make a mistake and come up when he shouldn't, Ramsdale's
Raya.
there sorry, Ray is there to take the shot on. So, so we talk about the turnover late in the game, but then you've got
Yep.
Saliba, who, if we're going to say he's a pretty good defender, needs to know where the threat is. The threat was right in front of him, but he stepped away from it.
Yeah.
And
You're gonna give up a chance or 2 in any game, but
that's not the point. The point is that there was an opportunity for a play to be made, and we didn't make the play. And we
yeah, but
always we
you're
want to
asking
you want your best players, yes, to make that play.
you
That's why there is.
want Saliba in this case to be in the perfect position every minute of
That's
the
how
game.
this thing works. Yeah, that's how this thing works. Yeah. You want to take that shot and be clinical with it. Yes, every time you take the shot,
And
you want to be clinical with it. Nobody
guess
says,
what,
I
Gary?
want you to be clinical with it just a certain percentage. No, every time, all right?
That's
The goalkeeper's
football,
gonna
though.
have to you're gonna have to make the goalkeeper make a save, not
Yeah,
kick it right at him, right?
yeah, yep. That
Guess
is
what,
football,
Gary?
though.
Can I do this here?
Yeah.
Gary,
Mm.
we don't have a back 4. Zinchenko isn't there.
It doesn't matter. In that
That's
situation, that had nothing to do with the back 4.
It
Well, the
does
ball-
because
when
they're
things break
not in
down,
position.
It did a little bit because our left side did not defend very well for that move.
yeah, when things break down, you look for the nearest threat, right?
Yeah.
If you cut off the nearest threat, you might thought the attack. But if you don't, because you're guarding no one, guess what? You didn't help out. That's what happened.
Yeah.
How close was Benjamin on that play?
I don't.
close
The,
what
the
he did
closest
for
person
Benjamin's
was
on the right side. He's
yeah,
he's the furthest
the
player away.
closest person to the ball was Saliba to make a play to the cross. Sorry.
Yeah.
And there was a player coming through the middle of the box, right in front. He saw him because that's why he made the run. He ran too deep and gave too much space up in the process.
Yeah. Stephen, I don't think Arteta, did he create the distraction?
You know what? I like I said, I don't believe there was
I
a
don't
reason to
think he
bring in
did.
Raya when he did. I think as we've seen it,
Gary.
it creates a narrative which you've created.
The narrative
Right?
is the media.
Yeah, he's
Right?
created, but he hasn't thoughted it. He hasn't said that's not it. I went and got a better player. That's what I did. And then there's nothing you can say about it after that. There's no controversy. There's no drama. There's no back and forth. This is a better player coming in to take the spot. So if you want, yes, the media will run with it, but if you say nothing, then it can keep running with it. We know this.
And I think
Doku.
we brought a goalkeeper in to improve us.
Yeah, you say that, but then why can't we do that on our right wing?
There's players that can play there.
No, he didn't bring anybody.
Can you find a player better than Saka in the world?
You needed somebody better than what you had, so you can trust them.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a player better than Bukayo Saka.
You needed to, and then you need to rotate them in like you always like I can tell
Gary,
you all the damn time.
You have Jesus that
No,
can
we
play
don't.
there.
We're not playing them there. If we had an answer, we would have used it. We don't use it, so then we don't have an answer.
There's several games that Eddie's been in the middle, and Jesus has been to one of the sides.
Not the right side.
All right, we're getting ready to get out of here pretty soon. It's been a lively conversation.
You got Smith Rowe. You got people that can play there.
He's not playing them, so he don't have anybody.
You're not going to find somebody better than Saka.
It's hard, Gary.
So when City went out and got Alvarez, you said Alvarez is much better than Nketiah, right? He's better than Nketiah, right?
Yeah, he's not better than Haaland, though.
No, but they went out and got a really good player, and you're saying we can't even get a player at Alvarez level because we don't.
We have Nelson.
We're not playing him.
Nelson.
We are not playing it. You're not getting it.
I agree with you.
You're not playing the players we have.
Told you that all the
confident.
time, Gary. Arteta's stubborn. He doesn't.
I agree with you.
I'm just telling you, until he finds a player he feels confident, go out and get that player. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not have players on your field on your team that you don't feel confident in. That's what I'm saying is the problem. It isn't that he doesn't have answers on the bench. He won't play them, so he doesn't feel they're the right answer for the questions he poses.
I want to know where Airport is on this. Does he ever tell Arteta?
AirPod.
No, this does not work.
AirPod.
We can't. We're not in that locker room, right?
AirPod. Doku. Moss is talking about Doku. I said a little while ago I don't personally rate him. He scored a goal or two here.
He's not your favorite Star Wars character.
We'll see what happens this weekend, and then maybe you'll think differently.
If he gets more than 10 goals this season, I'll think differently. And
some people think he might have a really good day this weekend if Zinchenko's in front of him.
Is he? But doesn't he play on the left or does he play on the right?
Some people think this weekend.
Where's he going to play?
He might look up and it'll be Zinchenko in front of him. And
okay.
People are scared or concerned about that.
Do those people think he'll play on the right?
It doesn't matter. It's wherever's it. I don't think it matters, right? You can play Saka on either wing. It doesn't matter. These players are versatile, right? People think that would be a really bad matchup for us if that happens.
Steven said we have needed to get a right winger or a striker much more than Raya. That is on Arteta. I agree with that. We have a striker need as well. We need to get a striker.
Yeah, but we didn't spend the money for a striker on Rhea.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Scott says Nelson hasn't
Will never
hasn't
be good enough.
shown us. He hasn't shown. Has he shown us enough? You know,
Yeah, I think he has.
he hasn't shown us enough because Arteta won't play him.
I think that's
Small
a silly
sample.
I think that's a silly comment to say Rhea when you got Harvard's that you spent 70 million on. That's striker money, not a fucking goal.
Yeah, but I think Stephen will agree with you as well on Havertz. You know,
I mean, that's a
which
silly.
we were. Well, Tony, we were talking
It's a
about the
silly
goal.
comment.
Well, hold on. In
I know what
Stephen's,
we were talking about.
we're talking about
but-
goalkeepers. So in
But a
Stephen's defense, hold on. In
$25 million
Stephen's
dollar.
defense, he's going to
I
say,
know.
let's not talk about the goalkeepers. Let's talk about a right winger or a striker. So I got to stick up for the chat box.
Rhea cost us $3 million, so it's not really a big money.
I know, but we were having the conversation about goalkeepers. I'm sure Stephen would say Havertz just as easily. You know, the need. We always talk here on the podcast about where the money should go.
Yeah.
You know, where the gaps are in the squad. Arsenal and Arteta and Edu don't always satisfy where we need the money to go to. And as supporters, we're sort of prisoners to that, Gary. You know.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
We're gonna look at a lineup on Sunday, an hour before kickoff, and ask ourselves, could we do
so
better?
far this season, we have yet, I believe, to play the same lineup in back-to-back games.
Oh, don't tell Tony that.
No, but this is where we are.
Tony loves those kind
The
of
first
stats.
3 games we've played differently because we've had an injury in every one. I think in every one of those.
I
That's all
don't-
stats, right?
I don't
We
think
haven't-
we've ever played Martinelli, Saka, and Jesus together.
No, we haven't played our best front 3. I mean, it's ridiculous. Our back
Yeah.
4, we're able to
Okay.
play that consistently, but
Stephen,
we just
I got you.
yeah.
See, Tony, Stephen, he was like, he knows.
I don't think anybody
Havertz.
believes Havertz will. Like, I think Havertz is a project, and I hate projects, especially when it costs that much. And I don't think it's going to change.
How is he a project when
He's a project, Tony. This is what a project looks like when it costs you 65 mil. It's what it
Ask
looks
yourself,
like.
Tony. Ask yourself, would you have Pepe back instead of Havertz? If the answer is yes, then he's been a project.
I would flip a coin on it, but
You're not going to take Havertz, Tony.
But this is his 4th season. He's not a project.
He is a project. We're trying to get him back.
He's
some
an English
form
Premier
he
League
hasn't had.
project.
He has not returned to form, so he's a project.
And
This
some
is what a
players,
project looks like when you're taking somebody from one level to a higher level. That's a project, especially as you said, he's been playing football now for 8+ years, right? And he's gotten worse than when he started in Germany, based on what we're seeing right now.
some players never take to the Premier League, and maybe he's one of them. You know what I mean? But
like I said, this is his 4th season in the Premier League now. So
It's a project still. It's a project for Arteta because he has to take a player that's in poor form and get them to play better. That's a project, Tony. That's what it looks like.
he does that. He does that.
That's what he
for a
has
little
to
bit.
do.
He did it for Fabio Vieira. He did it for just a little bit.
And Fabio Vieira right now is a really good player off the bench. Havertz is supposed to be a starter for us. Off the bench, he's been pretty. Off the bench, he's been good. You play him as behind to respond to come in for Saka. You're putting him in a position to fail, and you saw the failure. Him coming in for Saka isn't indicative of what he brings to the team. That's just a really bad, as they say, a bad test. He's going to fail it.
To me, isn't he a project? Teabag's a project.
No,
right?
Do you see him the early part of this season? Did that look like a project when he came off the bench? Did he look like a project when he came off the bench early in the season?
He's looked poor at times.
Did he look really bad when he came off the bench and contributed to goals? Did he look bad then? Okay, you can't hear me anymore. I get it. I get it. You don't remember those games, huh?
I'm trying to kill an insect. Sorry.
Well, listen, we'll get out of here and let you do that. Champions League draw was Sevilla, PSV, Lens. We understand Lens now and who they are. Saka and Martinelli to improve again.
Yeah,
But
they're a 16th
the
place
important thing was
Ligue 1 team, right?
it should be rotated. What?
So they're a 16th place Ligue 1 team.
Yeah, but you know what? You really judge a team at the end of the season how good they are. And so I guarantee you they'll be higher than 16
Yeah.
by the end
You
of the
don't
season.
believe
But-
we just lost
but
to a
we're not-
16th place team, Tony. You don't believe that. You don't believe a Newcastle team that had lost like 3 games in a row was a poor team. You don't believe that either. You don't believe that a City team that just lost probably 2 games in a row for the first time in a long
Keep
time
going, Gary.
was a
Pile on.
bad team. I mean, you don't believe that. So to
Look
say,
at
They're
those
16th,
goals.
Gary.
Look, Gary,
They're
last
16th.
season, how many goals we scored?
yeah, no,
You don't believe we were efficient last season,
we
Tony.
weren't
weren't.
clinical. We weren't clinical. I'm going to say that we weren't clinical because I tell you that all the time that Erdegaard should have
I
had
know.
more
Then you were
goals.
saying the opposite. That's why I
No, I
had to
wasn't
yell at
saying
you,
we were
Gary.
clinical though. I wasn't saying that. I never said we were clinical.
That's what you said, Gary. You
I
said
never. You never heard the words out of my mouth that said we were clinical. You never heard
Yes,
me
you
say that
did.
because I know we
Yes, you
aren't.
did.
We've never been that.
All
That's
right,
been the
listen,
problem.
we'll get out of here. We could be here till Sunday talking. I think Tony got himself really fit in the weeks that he's been out. Good to see. Good to see you're back fighting fit, Tony, and ready to revisit old
I
rivalries.
know what I said. You know what I should do, Ray?
What?
Just because it's been in some of the shows I've been watching lately. Training montage.
Training. You should do a training montage. Well, listen, I
I
hope you can get back onto the upset picks because on no selection FC has been doing really badly
No
lately.
selection
Nope.
FC.
Well,
No selection FC.
that's what happens when you tell me a verbal doesn't
Yeah,
count
you throw a
after
hissy
the
fit.
fact.
You throw a hissy fit.
So
and go on strike.
you're just acting like Stan. That's all.
You just went on strike for a few
Just went on
weeks.
strike. I'm not giving my picks now because I don't like what's going
It's
on.
my
here.
ball. It's my ball. I'm going home with it. You
Yeah,
can't
but
play.
Stan had nothing to go on though. I wasn't winning anything.
Hey, be careful. He's listening.
Where do you know where they started at?
I don't know.
It started from the Norwegian. Less than an hour before the kickoff of Arsenal, he learned 7 players have COVID.
The
And he picked
Norwegian.
the other team and gained 19 points the first game of the season.
Did he win that season?
I think
Did
he
it help?
did.
I don't think he won that season. I don't know if he won that season.
Stan
The
hasn't
season-
won.
No,
Sam,
no,
Sam,
I thought
Mr.
Sam won the
Greenwood.
season where he chased people down, not when he was.
I beat you. The first season I beat you on the final weekend, Gary.
I think I won. Didn't I win? I won last season, right?
Last season.
And you didn't want to actually tell anyone. You wanted to keep that one a secret for some reason.
Man, you guys can spin your narratives all you want.
I'm just telling you what
Ray,
happened.
Ray.
Yeah.
Can you check how many points I had before
No.
the World Cup?
No, I can't.
Go
go back,
go
back and watch.
Dude, you can go. Yeah, you
Because
can go.
I was on like 92
free.
points.
Tony,
I
it's
was
free.
I
Go
was
back
on
and find
92 points before a World Cup.
Okay.
Knocking us with 106.
We
because I
shouldn't be
just-
talking about this stuff on the eve of the biggest game in the last
Yeah.
couple of years for Arsenal.
It's just
So,
it's bad picking, Tony. That's all I hear. I'm hearing
Yeah.
bad picking.
bad
It
choice.
wasn't bad picking. It was me
Bad choice.
picking out of the last
Jude.
2 teams playing that week.
Jude is back. We're about to get out of here, Jude, but watch us on Rewind if you want to. If we
Especially
do,
the first.
if we
20
do an Inter
minutes.
Milan and avoid City, Real, or Bayern, I reckon we will get to the final. There you go.
Mhm.
You
I
need to
would
clip
take
out the first 20 minutes and make a video of it, Ray.
I would take a glamour tie for a semi-final right now if you offer it to me. You know what I mean? All right, Gary, you got a show on Saturday.
Saturday morning.
True or false?
Yep. Yes, sir. So yeah, check us out at what is it? 3 o'clock? Is it 3 o'clock? No,
Yeah.
4 o'clock. 4
4
o'clock, right?
o'clock UK time.
4 o'clock UK time. We'll do our match day show, the road trip, and then we should.
Man United should be losing to Brentford by that time.
That'd be nice. Just to
Ten
laugh
Hag,
at them.
Ten Hag might get sacked immediately after that. But yeah, the big one is Arsenal against City on Sunday. We'll be going live right after that.
Tony will probably be on Full Nelson on Wednesday for those who follow
Now
the
he's back
wrestling.
fit.
I'm Saturday, Gary. We got
But you have a show on
Fastlane.
Wednesday, Tony.
Fastlane Saturday.
Uh-oh. Steven's going 2-0
The
for
next show
City.
is Wednesday.
2-0 for City.
The
Never
next
know,
show
Steven, you
Saturday,
never know.
Gary.
I can't pick another team
Saturday.
to be my team. You
All right.
you don't. Oh, you're right. It's already Thursday. God,
No, Tony.
sorry, I'm a little bit behind. It's been a long.
Don't-
Gary, didn't
week.
you? Tom told me you put your picks in, so I
did.
know you know there's a
I
Tony-
forgot
You
that-
on
I forgot
Saturday.
today. I forgot today was Thursday for a second.
You got to pace yourself, Tony. You just come back to full fitness. So don't overplay. Don't play too many games. Don't play on podcasts too much. All right. We're out of here. I have a Kahoot.
You
From
know
the
the
North
you
London
know
Derby.
the
No,
right video to play this time.
Yes. If you two would shut up, I could do that. You got me so frustrated on the last one.
blaming us, Ray.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We will play a very nice outro that Gary created. And we'll see you Sunday. Go see DWTT on Saturday. And the biggest fool in the land, the fool Nelson, him and Tom.
Podcast.
Saturday
on
night, early Sunday
Saturday
morning.
night. Take care, everyone.